Do, 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 do.
Mark Hamill is Skeletor? No.
No, wait, Jesse, stop scrolling. Stop scrolling. I have some revelations I want to give to you, please.
I can't help it.
I have some revelations to give you, please. They're directly related to conversations we've had about cartoons in the 90s. Stop it. I can see your eyes. You stop it.
Scroll.
Is he in Scooby-Doo Zombie Island? Because if so, that's a big deal.
Jesse, he's in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Oh my god!
Yes.
All right, I'm scroll-
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Not Your Father's Movies. I'm Vito.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Jesse, and we're the Dad Fathers coming at you with some big, in a galaxy far away, something. Damn it, what is the line? Energy. We're coming at you with that sort of energy tonight. And, we got a guest named John. John, you're a friend of all of us who goes way back, and you're also a big Star Wars fan, I believe.
Yes, indeed. My first experience with Star Wars, I think I was 4. My dad decided I have a son and he's going to watch Star Wars. And Darth Vader walked in and I ran away. So about 3 years later, I decided, hey, I want to see that again. Dad dug it up from wherever it was. And I don't know how many times I watched it in that first year, but it was a lot. And it was another 2 years before anybody told me there were any more than just A New Hope. And
Oh wow,
that had to wait for stayed at a friend's house, like other side of the state, and he showed me the other 2 movies. He was so excited to show me episode 5, he gave away the punchline, but I didn't care. I enjoyed it too much. By punchline, I mean,
Oh no!
And then I
Wait,
got
what? Spoilers!
I got to see. I saw episode 1. I got to see episode 2 and 3 in theaters, and by the time I was 16, I had read 80. That is 80 Star Wars novels, and I could ramble for ages about those. But
That's
by the time
lot.
I finished the 80th one, I realized that because of the prequels, they'd published like 120 more. So I said, yeah, I'm good. So I should probably also mention that when I was...
I'm having a hard time processing the sheer amount.
I probably should mention that when I was in college, I made a movie with my roommate, which unfortunately, even though I went to school with all 3 of you excellent gentlemen, none of you appeared in, and I'm kicking myself for that. But it was basically a 45.
But this roommate, John, who's this roommate?
This is that certain John Paul Thoreau.
We know this roommate.
Yeah, who's been on this show multiple times.
JP, past guest JP.
Past guest,
Past guest JP.
most recently on Signs.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
Most
he
recently
played
on
the
Signs.
he
Letting
played
us
the
know
Hans-
all about the truth.
Yes, he told me about that. He played Han Solo in this goofball film, and he basically just imagine Harrison Ford played by Tom Cruise. That's what I got out of him. But yeah, in short, I'm obsessed. I have with me, for one thing, a complete copy of the original script, including the deleted scene with Biggs Darklighter in the first act, which I could read, if you guys begged me to.
Oh wow!
But it's a pleasure to be on the show.
I mean, we could just sit here and read that whole script.
I've also got 5 and 6, but no, we're just talking about A New Hope. But yeah, it's an honor to be on the show, and let's get her started. This is fun.
Well, John, we're really happy to have you. Very, very excited that you're here. I originally, when I thought of who to have on for this one, I knew it had to be you. You know, we've all been friends for a long time, and we've all talked about Star Wars for just stupid amounts of that time. Especially you and me, and sometimes some of that, this is to your credit, was you telling me about it, because you knew so much more of the inside baseball, so much more of the mythology from your 80 book reading run.
Yeah.
Also, parentheses, exclamation mark, parentheses, just like 80 books, holy shit.
Open parentheses, lot of commitment, close parentheses.
Good, okay, good. Circle gets the square. But we really wanted to have you on for this, because you know, here at Not Your Father's Movies, we've just finished up doing our Before Trilogy collaboration with the My Movie Fix pod. And that's a pretty niche little trilogy that we all loved. But it was a real passion project. We just wanted to do it. And we found such a great collaborator with Sir.
And
we hope you go back and listen to those.
We just finished up our new release, Dune, at this point.
Ooh, yes. Yeah. Our new release, Dune, which we have recorded.
Sometimes time is a flat circle, and sometimes we don't know where we end or where we begin. But what all this is to say is that Star Wars has been on our minds a lot because we did see Dune, and Dune obviously borrows a lot from Star Wars, and also
other way around
because it came first.
Yeah,
exactly.
A lot of fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's called art.
Time is a flat circle.
Exactly. So we wanted to come back and for our final month of the year, we're talking Star Wars. We're doing Star Wars Episode 5 and Episode 6, the OG trilogy.
Awesome.
And we just wanted to do this because these are big movies, and they're big to us. And sooner rather than later, if you click on a show called Not Your Father's Movies, you should see Star Wars in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I think for the very first time ever in our history, we are not asking our typical question. Is this a dad movie? Because we know the answer. This is a foundational dad movie. And we want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Am I wrong?
You are absolutely correct.
Amen. Preach it, brother.
Thank you.
I'm glad Mike said that, because there were some reservations I heard in his voice and in his words just like minutes earlier.
I just wanted to keep you guys on tenterhooks.
Tenterhooks.
It's the correct expression.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But
that's fair. So
we when we thought of movies that we wanted to do for this podcast, we came up with a list of movies that we wanted to do before this podcast ever ends. And this was near the top of the list. So we knew we had to get it done sometime.
Yeah. It seems like it's a very good time to do it too. You got Dune just came out, and Dune appears like it's going to be in some form one of these epoch making films, projects in the film world, just in the development of the art. Star Wars definitely was one of those. We'll see if Dune comes anywhere close that the new movie, I mean. But it seems rather fitting to have that is reverberating around the industry, and we're going to go ahead and talk about the film that was informed by the book and informed the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I kind of feel like too one of our usual questions is why are we doing this movie? I feel like the question that we have, I mean, like, of course we're doing this movie.
Yeah,
that's the answer. Of course. But the real question is, why haven't we done it before? Like, why have we waited until we're a year and a month and a half or something into Not Your Father's Movies, and we've never done Star Wars? Why not? Why haven't we done this?
I think, well, at least for me, like when we do big movies, that always makes me a little nervous. And since we've done so many, I don't get nervous anymore. I just say whatever the hell I want now, and I'm okay with it. So that's where I'm at personally. And also, we're releasing this in December, and strangely for me, December reminds me of Star Wars, because that's when all new Star Wars movies are basically released now.
Mm. And the holiday special.
And the holiday special.
Which we're not talking about today.
Or ever. A big reason for me is that Rise of Skywalker was the last movie that I saw in theaters before Black Widow, which we talked about on that episode. And that's a weird one, too, coming back to. Because Rise of Skywalker left such a terrible taste in my mouth. And it made me really angry at the series as a whole. And I had actually a really hard time enjoying any Star Wars content after that at all. Even The Mandalorian was really fun, But there's a thing that happens at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian that very much ties it back into the Star Wars ethos.
Uh-huh.
And when I saw that happen, I got kind of mad because I was very tired of that.
Yeah.
And I needed a really long break from Star Wars in order to like it again, honestly like it. And now coming back, I guess we'll just start talking about when/if we'll show this to our kids, because I came back to it because I showed it to my daughter. Ooh. I showed it to my 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And she was enraptured. She watched the whole thing, like eyes wide, mouth open. She's holding onto my arms sometimes. She's covering her mouth. There was just like a full body experience of watching this, and she loved it. She adored it. She talked about Dark Vader a lot, which is something I remember calling him because Darth isn't like a word in the English language, so I kept saying Dark as well because he's in a black suit.
Yeah.
And
he's a pretty dark dude.
He's the darkest.
He, like, kills people.
This is awful.
He throws that guy against the wall.
He does.
Yeah.
He's choking him. He's like,
and he does.
My daughter, what happened there? I said, he's squeezing him.
Yeah, he's not touching him though.
Yeah, and I watched it. The confusion, the audible confusion on her face, like I could hear how surprised she was.
Yeah,
and it took watching this, which is so fundamental and foundational to me as a movie watcher, through my young child's eyes, to love Star Wars again, to be back in and to enjoy it again. Because honestly, Rise of Skywalker, Disney. You dragged my childhood out to the woodshed and you shot it in the head. All right. I hate that movie so much.
I think, all right, I think it ought to be said, not in contradiction to what you're saying, but when Lucas was given the American Film Institute Lifetime Achievement Award, and he was given his little speech acceptance, one of the things he said is, if you think of the 6 movies as one, which I do, then something about him doing less work for more reward than anyone except Terrence Malick. But he did. He does say that good. For him, the 6 movies are one story, one film, and of course, there's parallels in the cinematography, reflections back and forth, which I could ramble about, and I don't want to, because I want to hear what your guys' things have to say too. So actually that could lead into a rather interesting question, where in a real sense, episodes 1 through 6 are one story. So why are we talking about just the one movie?
Did you have an answer, Jesse?
I mean, I could think of one. I guess they are kind of all one movie, but well, first off, they have to be at least 2. There's no way. So,
yeah.
At minimum,
that's a good answer.
There's no way the original trilogy is the same movie as the prequel trilogy, in my opinion.
They look so different. The visual language even is like jarringly different.
The visual language and then the style of everything just feels very different. But also these are complete movies. They have in the original trilogy, they have a complete arc. Like at the end of the day in A New Hope, the Death Star is blown up. The rebellion seems like they have won a major victory. Luke is on his way to becoming the chosen one after being a nobody. And there's a real emotional closure here. That maybe is not present in Dune, but is present here. But it's enough for us to say this is a movie, and we can do a whole series on each of these movies individually, because there's enough to say about each of these, at least for me, that I want to do a whole episode on.
And only just to add to that too, at least as far as like a dad podcast about dad movies, I was never going to show, and I never will show my children, episode 1 first. It's just not.
Oh yeah.
That's not the correct way to do it.
Yeah.
There's only one correct way to do it, and that way is episode 4 first. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I don't write the rules. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because that way, when you see the new trilogy again, you see it in light of a larger story. And I don't want to bring up you should really bring in this. I just wanted to I was hoping I could get your guys' perspective on the table with that, and I guess, and also to mention this in preparing for being on this awesome podcast with you guys, I saw an interview that George Lucas did with Christopher Nolan about 2005, 2006. And one in that he described that when he first wrote Star Wars, like the studio said, here's some money, just write a story. And he wrote a 250-page story, and it was called The Tragedy of Anakin Skywalker. And that was like, draft one, just like, here's everything on the page. And it sounded like what he was saying was like, as can happen when you're writing a story, a character that you didn't expect suddenly becomes very interesting and jumps into center stage, and you got to figure out how to tell that story. And Luke was apparently, for George Lucas, that kind of character. And that was the seed in the early 70s that led to, ultimately, to A New Hope.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I'd like to jump into that a little bit further along, because I have a lot to say about that, and like why I think that is something, to use like the Ringer's rewatchables parlance, that's something that's aged the best, right? Is starting a story in media res. But let's say that for a minute. So I already answered the question when/if I'll show it to my children, which is I did, and it was amazing. Michael, when/if will you show this to your kids?
I have showed this to my kids.
All of them?
No, just the first one.
Oh, okay.
But well, I mean, I showed it to all of my kids.
Yes.
But just the first, or episode 4.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure which question you're asking there. I have so many of them.
First movie to the first kid, second movie to the second kid, third movie, and so on.
They're all confused.
They're so confused. No, I just showed it to them this past weekend in preparation for this. We've been planning to show it to them end of this year, and figured, hey, it was time. They loved it. It was great. Yeah. They've been running around. So, like, my older daughter is she's jumpy. She jumps around a lot, and I think she really enjoys getting scared about things, like while she's watching movies and running in and out of the movie, because she doesn't have like nightmares or anything about him. She's not really scared.
It's thrilling.
But yeah, she enjoys sort of the drama. And that was what was going on with her. But then my second daughter was just enthralled. She enjoyed it. She did fall asleep for a minute. Well, some of the more boring parts.
Yeah.
But at the end of the movie, she said, "They blew it up!" This tiny little chipmunk voice. She was so excited. They've been running around. So after the movie was over, I was like, "Hey, did you guys like the movie?" And they said, "I'm R2-D2," and the other one said, "I'm a Jawa, and I'm gonna catch you!" And so they started chasing each other around playing Jawas and R2-D2, which was great.
What an interesting variation.
Yeah, I know. I was like, do either of you want to be Luke Skywalker? They all kind of like looked at me, like, no.
My daughter talked the most about the Jawas as well. She just kept saying, "Those stinky Jawas."
Well, loves being a Jawa, so I guess your daughter thinks that she's stinky.
It'll come up. It'll come up in play.
That's so great.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they didn't want to be Luke Skywalker. They were like, I think that they were like, he has way too much on his plate. We're way too young to deal with like being the chosen one and all this shit. Like, we're gonna keep it cool here with like scrap droids and that sort of thing. Like, that sounds like our speed.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So.
Oh, man.
What about you, Jesse? Have you shown your kids Star Wars yet?
So far, my kids have watched 10 out of 11 Star Wars movies.
Wow! That's just amazing to me. That's amazing to me. I remember watching you on Letterboxd in like real time, like, he's not doing it. He's not doing it. Holy shit, they're watching. He's watching all of them.
Wait, have you guys watched Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi?
No.
Yet? Yeah, just the first one. Right?
Yeah.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
Earlier this year, we started with A New Hope, and then progressively we watched every single one. Last one we watched was the Han Solo story or whatever. That movie sucked. I hate. My kids didn't like it. I didn't really enjoy it. and we had to watch it in 2 sittings. I'm like, this is way too dark for kids. I don't. Why is this a Star Wars movie?
It's like too dark and too stupid.
Yeah,
like it's not enjoyable for anyone.
It's like, what is going on? Who did you make the movie for? At least with Rogue One, I know that movie is made for me and not for my kids, which is why they have not seen that one yet. But like, man, yeah.
Solo is actually the only movie I've ever walked out of.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But yeah, they've seen A New Hope, and my son's 2, my daughter's 5, and they loved it. And to this day has awakened things and stuff in their imagination that's incredible to see. First off, the concept of bad guys. And there being a host of bad guys who are really easy to tell who they are because they all have helmets on. It's great. And now my 2-year-old just runs around with anything is a gun to him. So he'll run around with a stick, shooting at things, pretending to be a bad guy, of course, not Luke Skywalker. Yeah, he always wants to be a stormtrooper, I guess.
Their armor's so cool. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's so appealing. Cool. But they also got really into planets now, because they got into this idea like, there are other planets and other worlds where things can happen. And the first thing that my daughter asked when she saw a whole planet being blown up by the Death Star was, does that exist in real life? And I said, no. No, there's a distinction. There are other universes, other worlds, other places that in your imagination that have that, but not in real life. And so from now on, like, something in her vocabulary that she's learned is, does this exist in real life? Does it exist in this world? So she asks that question about unicorns and all sorts of things now. And that's really cool to introduce this idea between something totally fantastic and science fictional and something that's actually real.
That's amazing. That's such an important thing for a child to begin to distinguish between the reality and imagination. And how the imagination, that makes it more safe to be more imaginative, because you don't have to worry about it crashing into real life.
Yeah. And seeing a whole planet being blown up, which is so crazy to think about, is what caused my daughter to create that distinction, which is so cool. And then also, they're really into space now. They're really into space and astronauts and space shuttles, spaceships. Like, we have this projector that we just go over, like, it projects things on the screen, on the ceiling, and it'll go over like comets or planets or whatever, and they love it. So they're getting into like real things based off of this science fiction, which it's amazing to me. So Star Wars, I've shown it to my kids, and it's here to stay for all of us forever.
Congratulations, Jesse.
Yeah.
Have you guys done like the Mandalorian or like the like any of the?
Oh, actually, now that I think about it,
animation.
The Mandalorian, my daughter like walked out while Liz and I were watching it. So that is technically her first exposure to Star Wars. And to this day, even though I don't let her watch The Mandalorian. I think it's a little too dark. It's a little too, he's kind of...
The guy gets cut in half in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much. And it's also about a bounty hunter, you know. That's not the story. Yeah. That's not for 2 and 5-year-olds, but... Yeah, she saw Baby Yoda. And so now, like, every single movie in Star Wars, she's like, does this have Baby Yoda in it? Just because she saw him for, like, 2 minutes one day.
Look, Grogu has that power. You know, you cannot underestimate Grogu. It's amazing.
He's so cute.
Yeah, he is so cute.
Kurzweil, John, will you show this to your children? I'm guessing no.
Oh, well, one must be understanding. Unfortunately, I am not yet a dad myself, but I absolutely will. And there's a fair chance I will get impatient and show it to them long before they have any concept of what a television is. It's like, you're 3 days old? Look at this. Stop looking
Open
at that.
Your
Look
eyes.
at the screen. Yeah.
Wait.
Why are you sleeping? This is important.
Oh, okay, wait. That's interesting, though, because you want to show it to them as early as possible. I actually kind of waited because I wanted them to understand, you know, the episode 5 twist.
So
does that matter to you?
I was kind of joking there, but I'll probably do something pretty like my own dad, which is like whenever they're like at that age where they seem like they can get things, I'll just show it to them, but it'll probably be a little too early, and then try it again. But who knows? Who knows? They might
Yeah.
catch on to it like yours.
You got to incept those ideas early. Just
Yeah.
seed them in there so that it becomes like a part of their DNA.
Yeah, so they're like, anyone could be my father.
And then you show them Tangled. They're like, anybody could be my mother.
What is parents? No one knows.
It's fluid.
Sneak, walk into the room while they're sleeping. It's just like, may the force be with you, may the force be with you, may the force be with you. Just ingrain that.
They're just muttering it to themselves while twitching. Well, I wanted to ask this question a little bit out of order because this movie is so big on nostalgia, and I kind of wanted to go in reverse order. Like what are we doing to create nostalgia in our children for this? And then maybe how does that reflect on our own for this movie? Like it is. So John, you brought up the point very well about how you wanted to do the sort of thing that your father did. And that's kind of why I wanted to go this way, is because there's something very deep in us when something, at least for me, where something this big, this huge in my life, I want to replicate that for my kids because I know that's how it worked for me and I know they're like me. And the way this was for me is there was never a moment where someone said, this is Star Wars. I was never sat down. What we had were VHS copies that were recorded off of it showing on TV. And it had the commercials still in it from like TNT or HBO or whatever. And I had 3 VHS tapes. And it just was labeled Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6. And I remember at a certain point my mom said, oh, that's Star Wars. And I don't remember my first time. What I remember is going back repeatedly over and over and over the years and just watching these pre-recorded tapes like to death. And going on the journey from episode 4 to 5 to 6 as like one unit. And I can't replicate that experience with my children because I don't think my mother cared too much about Star Wars. So I think it was more like, oh, yeah, those are good movies. Like, go ahead and watch them. Like, you're out of my hair for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to do like a reaction to that and say, no, make these events. Like I sat down with my daughter and it was just us two just watching it. And that's what I want them to be. I want it to be time with dad.
Yeah.
Like truly demarcated time where she, to Jesse's, always using this as a criterion. It's a great criteria. When they think about a movie, I want this to be one of those movies. And the experience of being with dad and watching it happen. So my nostalgia of it being sort of like a phantasmagoria, like a fever dream of it just being like, is that in, like, I truly couldn't remember where the, like, Jabba the Hutt died and sort of like which movie it was in, just because I was like, I don't know, they're all one movie. And that's kind of like my nostalgia growing up with it. And then of course I played all the Star Wars video games.
Yeah.
It was just so big in my life. I never went. I read like some like YA Star Wars stuff, but it was dumb. I stopped it.
Those were always pretty subpar.
Yeah, with like the poor early Photoshop covers.
Yes.
Yeah, they're really bad. But like I remember one of the first video games that I ever really loved and played and beat myself was the Star Wars Jedi Knight Outcast. Jedi Outcast, where you play as Kyle Katarn.
Yeah! Hell yeah, I love that game.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the first video game I ever played.
Nice.
I played it for about an hour at a friend's house, and I just like shit the bed with it. Like,
it's so hard.
It was really hard.
It's
I
not
didn't know
easy.
what I was doing. Yeah, he was just laughing at me.
Because like in that game, you're sorry, Jedi Outcast. You were a Jedi and now you're not, and so half the game you don't have a lightsaber, and it's super annoying because you're like trying to shoot stormtroopers and the blaster goes in like a randomized pattern, so it's really hard to hit people. You're like, this is why everyone messes all the time. And it like really puts you through the paces until you get your lightsaber, and then the game shifts perspective, and now you're in the third person, and now you're actually like dueling Jedis, and that was so cool to me. And then when Jedi Academy came out, that just rocked my world. Like I could have 2 lightsabers. I could have a lightsaber staff. It was just pure wish fulfillment.
Okay, I just realized I was thinking of a different game. I was thinking of an earlier game. So there's
Dark Forces
2. That's the one that where you're Kyle and you're. I'm not even sure if Dark Forces had Kyle. I never really played that game, but it seemed like in Dark Forces 2 you were Kyle trying to figure out who your dad was, basically, and trying to. I don't know. The story is so vague to me now. But, like, there was this epic moment where you get to choose whether or not you're part of the light side or the dark side in the middle of the game based off of like how many civilians you killed in the first half of the game. And then if you were the dark side, you got all these amazing powers, and if you were the light side, you got like to heal. And it was
the light side superpowers are so lame. Sorry, force powers are so lame.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. You get like meditate, or you can like raise your shield. It's like, why am I doing that? And it's like, they have force choke. You can pick people up and throw them.
And force lightning.
And then lightning?
There's another one called...
everyone on the screen.
There was one called force destruction. You literally just shot a ball out and it would explode. It's like, I want to do that!
That's better. Clearly that's better. There's a moment in Jedi Academy where you have to fight... You don't play as Kyle Katarn in that one. You actually play a Jedi Padawan. And if you choose the dark side, you have to fight Kyle Katarn at the end of the game. And I'm looking at like video game videos and everything. People are like, this fight was surprisingly hard. I remember being a kid and I just maxed out my dark force abilities. And then I was like, oh, I gotta fight Kyle? All right. I just really let the hate flow through me. It was really easy. That was anyway, that's just like a ton of my nostalgia, and that was like
important life lessons that I taught you. Just let the hate flow through you, and
let
you can conquer everyone.
Yeah,
all right.
Especially your dad. No, we don't want to teach the kids that.
Exactly. But like, what was your nostalgia, Mike? Like, especially looking at it in the light of how you showed it to your kids.
Yeah. So I did the same thing. I wanted to make an event for my kids, and we kind of built it up over several months, like talking about it a little bit here and there. And we want to kind of keep it being an event. I think we're going to wait until we show them 5 and 6.
I've been thinking about that too. I think I want to solidify the love.
Yeah, they know that it's around, but like, see, other kids have started seeing them, so I want them to get, I don't know.
Our kids can hang out, and then they can just talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, we won't let them hang out with anybody else.
No.
But for me...
that'll only dilute the purity of it.
Yeah. So I grew up... I was kind of in a bit of a bubble until I was about 5, because I grew up...
with really bad allergies, right?
Boy in a plastic bubble?
Yeah.
That's it. That's me. It was a epic in my life. No, we were traveling around into places where like we didn't speak the language of other people. They didn't really have VHSs at the time. So I moved back to the States when I was about 5, and I learned about Star Wars from a babysitter who came over, and she was incredible. She was the best babysitter ever. I don't know her name. She's out there somewhere, I'm sure. She's great. If you have any idea who you are, good job.
Highly recommend services.
Highly recommend. She's probably like 40 now. But she was a great babysitter. I'm sure she's successful in whatever she's doing. But she asked us if we'd seen Star Wars, and we said, Star Wars? What's that? And her mind was blown. Like, she's 12 or something, or 13. I don't know how old babysitters are supposed to be. And like, she's, you know, a normal human being. And she's like, how have these kids not seen Star Wars? My sister's a couple years older than me. So I just remembered, like, running around in the basement playing Star Wars. And we had this toy that we used to, like, make the jump into hyperspace. And,
Nice.
Like, it was amazing. And she painted the picture for us and just blew our minds. And so when our parents came home, we were like, Dad, Mom, we played Star Wars. We're like, oh yeah, Star Wars exists. And my dad was kicking himself because he had loved Star Wars as a kid and hadn't revisited it in years because they weren't able to stream stuff back then.
Yeah.
Back in the times of yore.
Late 1990s.
90s.
Also now called turn of the century.
Like mid-1990s. Turn of the century, holy shit. But so we made an event. We watched it. I don't really remember when we first watched it, but I remember that we watched it all the time. All 3 of them. My sister and I would fight all the time about which one was the best. And, you know, for some reason, I really liked 6 the most as a kid.
As a kid, that's very defensible. It's a very, like, action-packed movie.
He gets the green lightsaber. Yeah. You know, he does a lot of cool stuff. He's got, like,
the black suit and the boots.
Yeah.
It's the conclusion of the story, but my sister always had good taste. She loved 5 the most because it's got the love story in it, you know. I guess. I don't know. It's weird.
Kind of like a aborted love story.
Yeah. I don't know, Jane. I don't know about that.
I love the history of calling out your sister for all of her dates and she never listens to it.
I'm just thinking about like our childhood. You know, we're 7 or whatever.
We'll make a supercut and send it to her.
Yeah. Yeah. But then in 1997, I think it was, winding up to the release of, I guess it was winding up to the release of the new series, or to the prequels, they re-released all 3 of the original trilogy in THX. They had redone the sound, they'd added a ton of stuff to the movies, and I think that was the first movie I went to see in the theaters. My dad took us.
Wow.
And I remember walking to the theaters with him and just like, wow, we're going to a movie theater. There were people like lined up for it. You know, it was a huge event. It was just a great time. We went to go see all 3 of them. And it's one of those memories that I cherish deeply because, I don't know, he was a busy man and he, you know, I've got several memories that he took specific time to spend with us, and that was one of them. And it was something that he loved so deeply that he wanted to be sure to share with us in a very direct way. So that's, you know, I'll never watch these movies without thinking of him. I would love to talk to him about them now because, you know, I'm sure he had a lot of thoughts about them in general. Yeah, so that's my nostalgia. John, what about you? What's your...
So are we talking... This is our own nostalgia from when we saw it as kids.
Yeah. Like maybe your first introduction. I guess you've talked about that a bit already.
Well, it was a slow build, to be sure. Like for Dad, it was a recorded off of television tape, home record, with commercials, edited down. And I think it was like the last of like 4 movies. Dad loved a good movie, and he'd, you know, if one came on TV, he'd pop a tape in, and he could fit 4 on those 8-hour home record tapes. And so I think it was like the last one of that particular one. And
so you'd have to like stick it in and like fast forward and then like fast back and then forward and back and like try to get right to the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
That's really frustrating.
Remember how things used to be?
Really annoying. Back then it was just like, well, I guess this is just the world. I'm so glad it's so convenient.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
that was convenience.
It was just like I saw the first one and then I had no idea there was any more, but I know I watched that first one a number of times. And then I was shown 5 and 6 like on the same afternoon. And, you know, the world got like 8 times bigger. And
that's wild, man. I can't imagine fitting those into my head when I was like at the same time. Yeah.
I was let's see. I know I dressed up as Darth Vader for Halloween at least once. But my physique and shape of my face are similar enough to Mark Hamill that I would just dress up in the black thing with a black glove. I got the lightsaber, and I must have done that 7 times.
Yeah.
On 7 different Halloweens. That's just what I did. Because it was perfect. You couldn't ask for a better character than Luke in episode 6. In that simple black outfit and the sincerity in his eyes and just that raw strength that, you know, that he had. So, and it just sort of, and then I found out there were books and I read one. The first one I read was terrible. There are lame Star Wars novels. But then I discovered good ones and, you know, on, and then ended up making a movie, homage to them all. But it's woven itself into my life irrevocably. Like, I'm not the sort of fellow to have, you know, souvenir china sets in a box in the corner, you know, all that sort of thing. But it means a great deal to me, and it's part of not quite in the way that like Jesse's kids have learned about basic distinctions of the world because of it. But it's like it was one of those things that was enough like real life behind all of the fun different appearances that when you get to fundamental life questions, you can look back at how the characters in these, and I would include the prequels in that from my experience. Anakin's journey in that is very, very powerful to me. But we're not here to talk about those. But I mean, it's all absolutely a part of my life. It's going to be a part of my family's life for as long as I'm around.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
it's amazing. Jesse, how much do you rhyme?
I rhyme. I guess I rhyme some. Like, yeah, like talking about what Star Wars is to me growing up. Star Wars is always. I've never been particularly moved with Star Wars. I don't know why, but like Star Wars is always just pure fun, just pure fun for me. So it's me and my family sitting around to watch like a blockbuster tape of Star Wars, and yeah, that's my first experience with it. Yeah, just being like, I guess like all of you, kind of being blown away by it. You know, the introduction to the new worlds and the fact that there are other places. There's a whole planet worth to explore somewhere out there. That's amazing. That there is this guy, and I guess I do rhyme with John now. Like, the Luke Skywalker bit where I feel like when you're a kid, you feel like you can't do a lot of things, and you feel like you want to say something like, I was gonna go to Tashi to get power converter or whatever, like I relate to that. I related to that at the time. And then to realize that there's like that potential in me, I think that, yeah, I guess I did find that in A New Hope in particular. Yeah, I have great memories just watching this with my whole family. I can't remember if it was a big event or not, though. Like, I was too young. I think it was like 4. I don't remember what my impressions were at the time. I think we all sat down and watched it, and then I watched, like, any time we rented something from Blockbuster, I would watch it multiple times. Like, the next day, I'd watch it at least one more time. Like, I had to. Because we only had it for those few days. For the few days, you had to glean everything you could from that tape. So
absorb it all. Memorize it.
I would do that. So, like, we got the tape, and I just watched it incessantly, and I became obsessed with C-3PO. I don't know why. But I just loved the hell out of C-3PO. And I was so excited for the Phantom Menace to come around later because, like, it's the inception of C-3PO. Like, what?
That was, like, the selling point for you. It was like, wait, we're gonna find out where C-3PO came from? I am in!
Yes!
So you were totally, like, blown away by them. You're like, this is great.
Yeah,
all my expectations are met.
Oh, yeah, and beyond. Like, yeah.
That's amazing.
All Star Wars, like, yeah, and then, of course, yeah, so I saw all 3 of the original with my family at home and had my mind blown, and then got to see the rest of them in theaters with my family. It was great. Yeah, so this is strongly, like, in my childhood, and then, like, for my kids, I wasn't able to take them to a theater like Mike had, but I was able to, like, make a big deal out of it. I was able to say, all right, Mom is gone. I think she was, like, out visiting a friend. It's just like, and they were kind of upset. So it's like, okay, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna watch Star Wars. And they're like, what's Star Wars? Like, what, Star Wars? It's gonna have spaceships? It's gonna have aliens? It's gonna have other planets? They're like, what are other planets? They're really big places where other people live. And they got really excited. And I was like, it's gonna have guns and firing, and it's gonna have bad guys and good guys and all these things. And so they got kind of excited. And then, of course, I go to Disney Plus, because that's what we can do now. And you hit the button, and, instantly the Star Wars logo pops up, and they are enthralled. They're totally in for it. They're like, Dad, what does the text say? Oh, then I start reading it to them. Yeah. And so, like, this has become...
They're like, I don't know those words, okay?
Yeah. And so it's become a thing in the house, basically. Like, if I make it special now by saying we're going to watch Star Wars. And they get really into it. And it's, yeah. Them associating that with me is like, it's been accomplished. Like, finally I can say on this show, like, yeah, this has happened. They associate Star Wars with me very strongly because Liz does not like Star Wars.
It's one of the few flaws in her character, as we have discussed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's here.
Wow.
It's here strongly in my life and my new family's life. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Do you guys want to hear a funny story that's really embarrassing about me?
Please.
Oh, we love it. We actually
So-
should have a whole corner for this,
Yeah.
I think.
I've got like a bunch of them sitting in the back of my head right now. I don't know why. I don't know why these are all coming up, but I told Vito a couple earlier, but I'm not going to share those ones.
Those were good. Those were good.
No. So when I was a kid, we had this tree behind my house. It was this fantastic tree, gave some great shade. But one day we came home, and there had been like a hurricane. We were living on the East Coast. There had been hurricane type like winds, and they had knocked the tree over into the backyard, and the whole backyard was like. So they had to take the tree out. It was cool, but like they wouldn't let me play back there for some reason. I don't know why. I wanted to like climb in the broken tree. Lame parents didn't let me do that. So they took the tree away, and all that was left was this stump. And the stump. So we had this fence, and the tree was on the other side of the fence. And I love this tree, but we weren't allowed to go outside the fence, especially out of this gate, by ourselves. Without our parents, because like the road was right next to it, and we were 5.
Mm-hmm.
But one day the gate was a little bit open. I was probably like 6 or 7 at this point. I had seen Star Wars many times, and I go out there. All that's left of the tree is this stump, and I was like, you know what? This stump is perfect for a reenactment of Luke Skywalker on Tatooine. Watching the 2 suns come down. And so I would go out there every single day and just like stand there 1 foot up on the stump, just look up the street. like we had this hill that went up to the pool that was in the community or whatever. I would sit there every day when I came
Reenacting Luke staring at the sky.
the literally least interesting moment and kind of weird moment. And 7-year-old Mike doesn't understand a thing about why he's doing this, like what this means. Like, he wants to leave. He wants to get away from this place. Like, this is a symbol of him trying to leave. I did not want to leave home. I loved being at home. It was great. But I thought if you're a very brave Jedi Knight, you put your feet on stumps and stare off into the distance.
As the music swells.
Yes. Yeah, and so the music in my head was flying, and like cars would drive by, like, there's that weird fucking kid
Kid
again.
just stares at the hill.
He's just
What is
staring
he
at
doing?
What is he doing? All the neighbors like, what is going on with him? He shouldn't be out here. He's a child.
He's a little different, I guess.
So there you go. That's my present to all of you.
That's a good one. You know what? You know what's funny? Like, I didn't do that, but that scene of him looking out at the 2 suns really struck me too when I was like 5 or 6. I don't know why, because
there's 2 suns.
Yeah, you know what? That's it. There's 2 suns. When do you see 2 suns? All right. What's really cool is my kids are blown away by this now. My kids are like, there are 2 suns? What?
yeah.
Even now,
I had to try to explain. I don't think they believe me.
Even now,
I think they're like,
I'm still as an adult. I'm trying to wrap my head around like the 2 sun concept. Like, how long does a day last? Right? Like,
well, if it's a tight binary system, that it would only be slightly longer than a day here.
But does like the Earth's does Tatooine's rotation speed up as it like gets whipped around 2 fucking suns? Or how long does a year last? Does it go on like an oval shape? Like, this blows my mind still as an adult, I guess. But
I can guarantee
Jesse,
you.
I feel like your concept of time is ready to be blown wide open.
I can guarantee you that there are answers to all of these questions on the internet.
It's in Wikipedia, right?
Most
Isn't
likely.
that what it's called?
Most likely.
Yeah.
I'm sure
It's not a stupid joke, by the way. That's like an actual site, if you don't know that out there, listeners. Wikipedia is real. It's a source for all Star Wars knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I used it extensively to prepare for this episode, and also when I'm just in the bathroom
Bored.
looking at stuff.
I have to ask, did you guys also try to wait until everyone else was gone? You were sure you were alone, and then see if you just happened to have the Force?
Yeah.
I didn't wait for anyone to leave. I'm still trying.
Yeah, if you just got the best part is your guys' screen froze just as Mike started screaming.
Okay, it's perfect.
That's great.
No, I definitely did that all the time, and then like I knew the difference between reality and fantasy. I did, but you just want to be sure. You would be the dumb one if you could do it and you just didn't because you never tried. Like you would be the stupid one,
right?
Yeah, like the time when I was 16 and I tried to breathe underwater.
Oh, well, you have a lot of this. Are you okay? Is there something going on? How did you get here?
I don't know. Luck.
And just think, if you were the one kid that could make the Force happen and nobody else could, I mean, that would be the best thing anybody could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
I agree, yeah.
I heard that.
That was the chair. The chair is very squeaky. It's a very old chair. It exists.
I think it must be Mike using the Force again.
Oh man, I introduced the see kids, I've got the Force to my kids. Yeah, I did that to my wife and they were like, whoa. And she was very upset with me for doing that, so sorry, honey. I love you.
Is she gonna listen to this?
Yeah, she probably
cool.
will.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome. I'm glad that message went out there. So I guess we've gone through some of our nostalgia, why we're doing this. Let's just talk just a little bit about who this movie comes from and kind of get us into the movie a little bit itself. Now, usually we do a pretty good, exhaustive cast and crew. I'm not really interested in doing that here. We have our three big main players plus old George Lucas himself. So George Lucas, written and directed by this man. He's known. He's Star Wars. Everyone knows who George Lucas is. The man needs no introduction. He has shaped popular culture, probably for all time now.
And it's always fun to see a guy who's had that kind of impact, and you look at him, he's just like, you're a middle school history teacher, right?
Yeah,
he's just humble as all get out. He's just him.
And the way that he talks, he just is kind of a quiet talker. He just shares his little stories about the universe. Like, how did you get this made? You're hanging out with Spielberg and everyone. Like, how could anyone hear you talk? But he made this towering enterprise. And so we got our three main stars here. We have Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher, none of whom were very well known at the time. I believe all of whom were just like they're kind of working actors in some things. I mean, Mark Hamill is like they're all in some TV. Harrison Ford was in American Graffiti, also for George Lucas, also was a carpenter at the time.
Yeah. Did you know that Harrison Ford actually showed up at the auditions to read opposite the people who were auditioning?
Nice.
So
really?
that's what you'll see. There is a casting audition video of Mark Hamill reading for Luke, or he might be reading for Han in that one. But right next to him is Harrison Ford, not thinking he's auditioning for anything.
Yeah, being totally natural.
Yeah,
yeah, it's amazing. And he if you look at Harrison Ford too, he bebops around a lot. I mean, prior to this, he's also in The Conversation for Francis Ford Coppola. He's in that for like a scene or two, and it's weird that he's in it because now we know he's Harrison Ford. Plus, he's incredibly good looking. So you have this guy showing up delivering like 3 lines, and you're like, "That's Harrison Ford. He is. Look at him. He's beautiful." It's actually really distracting. I don't know why Coppola thought it was a good idea.
It's like Clint Eastwood walking into that one episode of Maverick for 5 minutes to deliver a few lines and be grumpy at James Garner and then leave.
Yeah, and you're like, what were you thinking? I know they're probably just trying to break him out and open. But after this, of course, he's Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones. He goes on to have this illustrious career. Rick Deckard and everything. But Mark Hamill is really interesting, as is Carrie Fisher. So Harrison Ford goes on to become your typical leading man. Everything goes right for him. Yeah. And continues going right as he's currently filming Indiana Jones 5 for some reason.
Didn't Harrison Ford win the AFI Lifetime Achievement Award too?
Probably.
I think he did.
Or the Academy Award for grumpiest man ever.
Special Oscar.
Special Oscar for also guy who forgets his co-star's name on every movie. He's sitting next to Ryan Gosling doing press for 2049. He's like, and then and he's
Ryan.
yes,
Ryan. Doesn't even say I'm sorry.
No, he just kept going.
Yeah, you
Spent months with this guy in a shoot. But Mark Hamill was weird.
Oh wait, hold on. All right, what was the last thing Harrison Ford was in? Was it Blade Runner 2049?
Call of the Wild.
Call of the Wild. Okay, so he's still doing stuff.
Yeah,
kinda. Yeah, that was in 2020.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, but I guess doesn't he have Parkinson's or something?
There was a bunch of rumors that he had like dementia. I don't know if he does. The press had a real hard time there in the mid 2000s with the press.
Yeah.
I think he wrecked a plane.
There
was some stuff with him.
Yeah.
Well,
and people were like, "Oh, he's senile now," but I don't think he is.
He's just like they're like no one could forget Ryan Gosling's name, and
except he just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, except Harrison Ford, he doesn't answer to anyone.
I've actually met him in real life very briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredibly grumpy.
So
he's like an anti-Anthony Hopkins.
Yes, exactly.
In real life.
Shit. Who's the dude? The Big Lebowski.
Jeff
Bridges. So I heard a weird comparison one time that Harrison Ford is basically the dude from The Big Lebowski, and Jeff Bridges is actually like Han Solo from Star Wars. I don't know why.
It was a fairly brief interaction I had with Mr. Ford here, and I've never met Jeff Bridges, but Harrison Ford growled "thank you" at me. He growled at me.
Thank you.
For like I directed. He pulled up and he asked where to go, and I was like, "Oh, over there," and then he's "thank you," and then he was gone. But he was really grumpy about it.
He was like angry at you.
Kind of, yeah, that he had to ask.
But
I don't know.
he also had a stroke in the 2000s, right? Yeah. So like he can't control half of his face very well.
He speaks pretty clearly though. Like as we see in the movies, like it's still pretty clear. He's he's growly, but there doesn't seem to be a paralysis that I can see anyway. No?
I think it's there.
You really want to go down this Harrison Ford personal life rabbit hole here.
I don't know. I like Harrison.
Is he an asshole, or is he
do you think he's an asshole?
Handicapped?
No, I think it's a little bit of both.
He was grumpy before, like he was grumpy in 2000.
Yeah,
I mean, you make Hollywood Homicide, it's going to make anyone grumpy.
if you're an Ender's Game, you're going to be grumpy.
Yeah.
If you're in
Indiana Jones 4, you're going to be super grumpy.
Really grumpy.
Honestly, if you look at his IMDb, right around like 1997 is Air Force One, and then between 97 and like 2010 is just a oof. You're just like, oh man, you made every wrong choice.
Firewall, Crystal Skull.
I enjoyed Firewall and I enjoyed Air Force One. I don't know if those are any good, but I enjoyed those.
I was saying Air Force One is like the last good one.
Okay.
Because like Firewall, I remember seeing that when I was 15 and like it being fun, but it is nothing compared to his earlier work.
Oh,
like it's pretty trashy.
Yeah. Do you guys
remember K-19, the Widowmaker?
That was so boring.
Nope.
Super boring.
So boring.
Do you guys remember Clear and Present Danger?
Yeah!
Yeah!
Is K-19 the one about the submarine?
I hate you.
I'm sorry, what?
Clear and Present Danger.
Yeah. Is K-19 the one about the submarine, right?
Yeah.
Where they don't...
Yeah, that was like co-produced by the History Channel.
Right, and isn't a key point of that plot they're afraid that a nuclear reactor melting down is the same thing as a hydrogen bomb? And it's definitely not.
You're asking me to remember what happened in middle school when I saw a movie on a school night.
That sounds right. I was really into submarine movies for a little while. Yeah. The only one I can really remember is U-571, which is amazing.
Yell me a soda.
Oh, all right.
I know where your mind's going.
Two more big ones that I love about Harrison Ford, though. All right. The Fugitive.
Oh,
yeah. I think we all. we have to cover that one sometime. Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah. It's the sort of movie that, like, Well, they designed it perfectly because in that middle of the picture where Harrison Ford's story kind of lags, because like you know who he is, he's just investigating. Tommy Lee Jones just explodes into this fascinating character that you'll never forget.
Yeah.
And then the two of them finish it together.
I didn't kill my wife.
I don't care. So good.
Have you guys seen another Harrison Ford movie, Witness?
That's the one. Yeah, dude, I love the Witness. I love that movie a lot.
I have not seen Witness, guys.
Yes.
You haven't seen Witness?
I haven't seen Witness.
Witness rules.
It's
so good.
It is so 80s. It's
I
really
happen to know
80s.
that was one of the first dates my dad took my mom on. They went to see
very
Witness.
cool. It's quite there's quite a steamy scene in there. That's actually one of my father-in-law's favorite movies, and one of my favorite memories of being around my father-in-law is actually when we sat down and he just said, "Witness is a good movie." I said, "I've never seen Witness." He goes, "Well, let's watch Witness." He just turns it on. It was a really lovely afternoon, and it's a really fun movie.
Yeah,
with like a really surprisingly violent final act.
Yeah,
like when it happens, you're like, "Holy shit! This is a different movie."
Yeah.
Yeah, Witness is really good. Have you guys seen a Presumed Innocent?
I don't think so.
That one's a really cool one. That's like Harrison Ford usually plays like straight up good guy or like just slightly scuzzy good guy. In that one, he's actually not that good of a guy. And the movie is really twisty and super turny. It's a fun one. I like that one a lot. I got it in a 2-pack Blu-ray with Frantic that he's also in, and that one's really good too. Like the two of them combined, because they happen like one after the other, really good. Seek them out, fun thrillers.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I will.
I love Harrison Ford, and I love the movies that he starred in. So if you say he's in a movie that I haven't seen, I will go watch that.
Honestly, just look at his IMDb and just start going one after the other. Even if it's not like necessarily good, it'll still be like amazing because he's really good in up until again Air Force One.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you guys seen this one movie? It's kind of a weird one. It's also sci-fi though. It's called Blade Runner. Have you ever heard of that?
Nah.
By any chance?
Look, I've been trying to hold in my Blade Runner hive love.
Probably a Bollywood
you're
ripoff.
Really,
yeah, I think it's just a
Yeah.
we discussed doing Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049, and I was told off by saying, "Oh no, those are too heavy." And now here you are poking the bear and asking me to talk about Blade Runner.
Are we going to talk about anything else here? Carrie Fisher? Oh wait, sorry.
I'll provide a last Harrison Ford. I think this just came across this little tidbit. Apparently, he played in a deleted scene. He played Elliot's principal in E.T.
Huh.
Oh.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah, but they deleted it.
But no, I did want to. So that is Harrison Ford, but I did want to cover Mark Hamill. I see he's for some reason highlighted here in this document as if we have covered Mark Hamill. We haven't covered Mark Hamill.
Not at all.
No, we have. Well, we had mentioned them briefly, and then we basically acted like we were gonna not go over them again. That's why I brought up Harrison Ford again, because.
No, we're going over Mark Hamill.
Okay, then let's do that.
Mark,
yeah, we're going to go over Mark Hamill.
Mark.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So he's been around for forever. He does not have the leading man career that Harrison Ford did.
No, if anything, he stayed truer to who he is, just personality-wise, and just does what he wants. Yeah.
He's a really strange guy. Like, there's a quote from him in IMDb who's like, "Some actors know how to market themselves. I don't know how to do that." Because he's so handsome. And he's has a sincerity about him, like a good boy charm.
Oh yeah.
And then he's like, I don't know, I'll just be a voice actor mostly. And he is. And then he like shows up in weird movies. Like he shows up in John Carpenter's what is that Body Bag movie that he made, an anthology horror film. And he shows up for like 20 minutes in that. Shows his butt. And that which is weird. Mark Hamill will do anything. Like, okay,
he has a cameo
Jesse,
in a horrible Stephen King film. Oh shucks, Sleepwalkers. He's a cop.
Sleepwalkers.
He's a cop
That's
for
right.
about 60 seconds, and there's like one jump scare, and his big line when they walk into this house that has like 80 dead cats in it is, Somebody doesn't like cats.
Delivered perfectly, I'm certain.
Oh yeah,
he's a professional. But I was just looking, so I just wanted to mention a couple of things that he was in, and then I realized it was every single cartoon that I watched when I was a child.
Yeah,
every single one.
A huge voice actor.
He has to date 353 credits on IMDb. He's obviously, apart from being Luke Skywalker, he's also mostly known for being the Joker, right? Mm-hmm. But then he does Scooby-Doo. He's around for Scooby-Doo.
Oh, wait.
He's in Jay and Silent Bob.
He's in the Batman Joker, like the animated series, and also basically every other animated rendition of the Joker.
Actually, no.
Almost.
Actually, no. He does a lot of them. But what's funny is that he's always involved in animated Batman projects, not always as the Joker. Sometimes he does other villains and different people can play the Joker. But he is kind of, him and Kevin Conroy voicing the animated Batman are like the classic, the ideal. And that's why he comes back. He and Kevin Conroy come to do the Arkham games.
Yeah.
So he's kind of respected as that, but other people have done the Joker specifically in like the Batman TV show, the Batman Brave and the Bold TV show. Like a bunch of the shows have utilized different kinds of Jokers, but Mark Hamill is usually present in those shows voicing somebody else. Mm-hmm. It's really shocking to me. I mean, he's in everything. Like Jesse, when you were a kid, watching stupid Cartoon Network, because Mike was not doing this as a child. He was in foreign countries. And I know John was not also filling his head with this nonsense.
He was in Africa on the dunes looking out at the double suns.
That's right.
Yeah, Mike.
That's right. But did you watch SWAT Cats, The Radical Squadron?
What? This is not the name of a real show.
I cannot
believe.
Holy shit. Wait, hold on.
SWAT Cats with a K. Cats with a K.
Yeah, this is ringing so many bells, and I haven't thought about... Oh, holy shit. Yes!
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen SWAT Cats.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. I wanted to do this so badly because listeners, Jesse and I were just talking on the phone like a little bit ago and just like reminiscing about the TV shows that we filled our heads with. And so he's in SWAT Cats Radical Squadron. He's in the Spider-Man animated TV show back in the day. Remember the theme song for that? The Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's in Freakazoid. Ren and Stimpy, The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, Adventures from the Book of Virtues.
What?
The Tick, The Spectacular New Adventures of Casper, Hey Arnold, Johnny Bravo, Pinky and the Brain, Cow and Chicken, I Am Weasel, The Simpsons, The Woody Woodpecker Show, The Powerpuff Girls, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, Samurai Jack,
really?
Static Shock. Yes, he's in all this. Dexter's Laboratory, Codename Kids Next Door.
Oh, wait.
Robot Chicken, Family Guy, Avatar The Last Airbender.
Shit, who does he play in Codename Kids Next Door? He plays, like, the candy...
Sticky Beard.
Yeah, Sticky Beard.
Yeah. He's got all the candy in his beard. Sticky. But, like, Danny Phantom, he's in, like, 160 episodes of regular show. He's also on Adventure Time. Like... I wrote all these down on this big piece of paper, and I just kept writing, going... Holy shit, like, Mark Hamill has incepted my childhood. I have now seen more things with this one person that I never knew he was in that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if, like, I just wanted to blow someone's mind out there. Like, go look at Mark Hamill's IMDb.
Yeah. Also,
one thing... I'm sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
Well, it's also like you guys were saying, you can find him in, like, weird random things. Like, one of my favorite, like, random movies that I've stumbled upon in the past 5 years has been Brigsby Bear. It's this, it's this weird indie movie, and like starring what is his name, like Kyle Mooney.
Yeah,
and like Mark Hamill shows up at the beginning, and he shows up later in the middle too, and that's it. Like he plays a big role, but he's hardly in there, and he just it's like it's so random. It's like why is he not in a bigger role?
Is he the dad?
He's the fake dad. Yeah,
the fake dad.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. That's a weird movie. I kind of liked it, though.
Yeah, I really like that movie. Actually, that movie got me back into thinking that superhero movies are worth watching again, which is a whole other story, but...
Well, it is.
We're just cracking open layer after layer after layer, man.
I'm getting my mind all sorts of blown right now.
Oh, I do have to share. Also, he's in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Just have to do that.
Wow.
That's what just keeps coming up.
This half-remembered artifact from our childhood that traumatized all of us.
Yeah.
If we're talking nostalgia,
he's in that too.
One that I have to bring up is Castle in the Sky, the English dub of Miyazaki's Castle in the Sky movie.
And that's his second one, because he does Nausicaa as well.
Oh, is he in that one?
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. Well, I didn't see Nausicaa until much later, but just him being that terrifying aristocrat, out to rule the world, Muska.
Nice.
Miyazaki, another fellow who's a genius at balancing very serious and very light.
Yes, absolutely. He's a master. But any other favorites that? Oh, I did have a note in here specifically for you, John, that Mark Hamill was in an animated TV version of Prince Valiant.
Really?
Yes.
I've never seen that. I've only seen the live action movie, which is both corny and amazing.
I'm pretty sure I have this down under voice roll, but you can double check me. But yeah, he's involved with Prince Valiant, so he knew the source.
Good. For those of you listening who aren't aware, Prince Valiant was a Sunday morning comic that would be literally a full page of the paper, and it started in 1934, and it is still going today. Not by the original guy, a guy named Harold Foster, but like when I was a kid, I would read Prince Valiant because my dad had cut them out of the paper through the 50s and put them in scrapbooks, and we had 30 scrapbooks of the Sunday paper, Prince Valiant's, and you get to follow this guy's story. And I'm
that's just that's a bananas amount of Prince Valiant. Also, the dedication by your father. Holy cow!
Yeah. I have a letter he wrote to his mother from about 1977. So he was 25. He was in Ireland for a few weeks for some reason, and one of the things that he comments on is, "I hope you're cutting out Prince Valiant's every week." That is a sentence in a letter he wrote home to his mother at the age of 25.
Don't forget.
That was his primary reason for writing.
But the other
mom checking in, hope the hip's good. Keep cutting out Prince Valiant.
Don't forget.
But the other reason I'm actually focusing on Prince Valiant is that Lucas actually designates that as one of the big influences in that sort of, we think of always Saturday morning serials like the Flash Gordon movies, but Prince Valiant's pretty darn similar, where you've got this young hero fellow who just goes out and has ridiculous adventures, and every other week's on some ridiculous cliffhanger, like he's trapped, a sorcerer has trapped him in a dungeon and he's got only his belt buckle to get out, or he's going to have to fight 50 armed Huns and all he's got is his magic sword, and it's all Arthurian legend, and just based in reality enough to be absolutely amazing. So it's kind of a cowboy. Think of a American cowboy vibe, like that kind of like guy wanders off to find another adventure in a new town. Only it's in the Arthurian legend, which
that's really cool.
Which could be a way of describing the premise of Star Wars.
Yeah,
if we wanted to, but we're talking about Mark Hamill right now.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to say, like, he's just had I think the craziest career of anyone that is attached to this movie. He's been the most open.
Yeah.
You will find things on his IMDb that are shocking, that he's even attached to. But check it out, and he's a very talented guy. And unfortunately, here we have to mention Carrie Fisher, dearly departed Carrie Fisher, and gone far, far too soon, only at the age of 60. She also had an interesting career. She did not take the road traveled for many actresses in Hollywood of just being a leading lady. She actually was known very much as a script doctor, usually uncredited work. She did uncredited work for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Kate and Leopold, Coyote Ugly, Scream 3, The Wedding Singer, Outbreak, The River Wild, So I Married an Axe Murderer, The Last Action Hero, Sister Act, Hook, and also Star Wars Episode 6. She also worked on Episode 1, 2, and 3 as a script doctor, punching up that script, which is pretty cool. And I like that she was able to work behind the scenes.
Awesome. And just in case people listening aren't familiar with that term, a script doctor does What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to explain. No, a script doctor is basically like you need some jokes. You need some additional lines of dialogue. You need the characters to make a decision that makes sense at a certain point in the story. That's why the work is uncredited. They don't do enough work to be credited as a full writer. But they have been known to fix movies that don't work and make them work. And they do that work uncredited in the credits, but obviously can be very well paid. But usually comedic writers brought in to do this work, or really established Hollywood writers. So it's actually kind of cool that she was able to do this as really a career, considering that she was originally like a leading lady in a huge movie, series of movies. Especially because as a writer, she doesn't have that many credits. Like, she has a couple credits for The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. She's written for the 74th and the 79th Academy Awards. It's obviously nothing to sniff at, but her uncredited work is just a lot more impressive, that she was involved with so many things that we all know, and we just didn't know it was her.
Awesome.
I like that her voice was still heard. But as an actress, I mean, she's got 93 credits. She did well for herself. I really like her in 30 Rock. Do you guys remember her in 30 Rock?
No, I don't.
Oh, is she the script writer who cut? Yeah.
The anarchist one?
Yeah.
who's like drinking wine at like noon. Who's like, we're gonna write some and stick it to the man.
Yeah, that was a great role.
Yeah, but she did a lot of TV, and like weird stuff like video games. Like, she's in my favorite video game one of my favorite video games of all time, Dishonored. As
she is
as the street speaker.
What?
You know that you need to get inside.
That's her. What?
For like no reason.
Gosh!
I think this is the realm of somebody who's making this stuff knows, like, I need a voice. Hey, I know Carrie. Hey, I know Mark. I mean,
I need 10 lines. Can you do that?
Yeah. Apparently, Mark knows everybody in the industry.
Yeah, friends with everyone. But yeah, she's in Carrie Fisher's in a lot of movies. She's really good in When Harry Met Sally. I really like her in that. Do you guys have a favorite Carrie Fisher? Is it this?
I mean, it's got to be this, but her role in Blues Brothers is pretty great.
Oh,
that's true.
She has an absolutely amazing part in that.
She does. Wouldn't be the same movie without her.
It would make
flying by the seat of your pants here.
Yeah, it would make slightly more sense without her.
Oh
yeah.
Well, that's who I had. Did you guys want to mention someone connected with this?
I mean, we gotta mention Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
Oh
right?
yes.
We gotta mention
Sir
Alec Guinness.
Sir
well,
Alec
he
Guinness.
didn't like being called Sir Alec Guinness.
I don't care.
But he is a Sir Alec Guinness. Yeah, he was in it. He passed away fairly recently, right?
Last 10 years?
About 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and he was just he liked being a comedian more than he liked being a serious actor. It's kind of funny that he's so good as Obi-Wan, and he's the quintessential, Jedi guru for us growing up watching Star Wars. But he much preferred movies like The Lady Killers and The Man in the White Suit and Captain's Paradise and just screwball odd comedies.
Yeah.
In the 60s and 70s.
I have to be frank. I don't think I've seen another movie with Alec Guinness in it. I think
like
this is my only one.
Okay, there's something I need to tell you about, Vito.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'd love to. I just, no familiarity.
There's a great one called...
It's set... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, there's a great one called Kind Hearts and Coronets, where...
That's where he plays everybody, right?
Yes, he doesn't play the protagonist, but the protagonist wants to kill everyone between him and the dukedom. And there's about 12 of them, and they're all Alec Guinness, including the women.
What a nightmare.
It's glorious.
I haven't seen that movie in many years, but I do remember that. Wow. Yeah. I mean...
seen Bridge Over the River Kwai, right?
If I did, I don't remember it.
Wow.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, that's the one where they're all in... it's World War II. They're all captured by the Japanese, and then they...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's I think that's a classic dad movie.
It's
yeah.
Like I said, if I did see it when I was young, I have no memory. Basically, at this period in my life, I hear in World War II, and I'm like, all right, I'm out. I'm out.
It's kind of
zero
overdone.
interest.
Well, I recently listened to the story behind the Bridge over River Kwai, like the actual story, and it was nothing like it. The people who there's a survivor who wrote a story, and they felt that the movie didn't do any of it justice, and the characters there were not done justice because but whatever. It's still a good movie.
That sounds catchy.
Yeah.
Nobody
won
whistling.
an Oscar for Bridge over the River Kwai.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I think a huge gap in my cinema watching history is I have not seen Lawrence of Arabia.
What?
Yeah.
I love Lawrence of Arabia.
Well, you should do something about that.
I should. I've been telling myself that for years.
I heard a long time ago that you got a 4K TV, right?
Jesse has a 4K TV.
Jesse, do you have a 4K TV?
Do you realize
guys, I'm just gonna break the news to you. I have a 4K TV.
Okay.
Jesse.
Well, you got a perfect thing to watch it on.
Yeah, they spent 2 years in the desert to make that film just so you could watch it on your 4K TV. Get to it, man.
Comfort of your home on your 4K TV.
I guess I'll have to
watch it too because I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
I know, same here. There was in my house. There was always an argument between that and the Civil War.
Glory?
No, not Glory. Nothing that good. No, the one
Gods and Generals?
Gettysburg?
No, the old one.
Gettysburg?
That's the same
the
one,
old
sorry.
one.
The old one?
The really old one.
They died with their boots on?
That's an old one.
That's an old one.
I've never seen that. What other Civil War movies can we think of?
I don't know.
One,
I can't think of any.
Like Terra.
Oh, Gone with the Wind. The highest grossing film of all time.
What's that?
Gone with the Wind.
Yes, Gone with the Wind. There we go.
So are you serious? You spent that whole time not remembering Gone with the Wind.
I'm sorry. I've got a lot of things in my brain. No, I don't know.
You couldn't even say anything else.
The old one. It's literally it's made more money than anything else, and like Star Wars Episode 4 is number 2, but Gone with the Wind is still like double Star Wars.
Wait. So So you had an argument between Lawrence of Arabia and Gone with the Wind involving what?
Like every weekend, my sister would say we want to watch Gone with the Wind, and I would say I want to watch Lawrence of Arabia.
Were these the only 2 movies either of you had seen at this point?
Wait, how old?
Also, The
you
Great
have
Escape.
3.5 hours.
Usually we would watch The Great Escape. Like those were the 3 movies that we would watch. I don't know. I don't know what was up with us. We're weird people.
Later on, you graduated to Ben-Hur, 10 Commandments, and Cleopatra.
Yeah, like nothing. Like, is it 3 hours? Yes. I'm listening.
Your standards are it has to be unbearably long, otherwise we are not interested.
If there is not a serious threat to us pissing ourselves while watching this, I don't want to see it.
It was. Did you guys not watch 3-hour movies primarily?
No.
I mean,
Really
like definitely there was the Ten Commandments sit down, which my family was definitely like shocked at some of the stuff that's in the Ten Commandments, especially near the end there. And then we did
the golden calf stuff.
Yeah. It just comes out of nowhere. You're like, oh my gosh.
We always like turned it off before we got there.
My dad was like running to get the remote. No, and then we did The Great Escape sometimes. Mm-hmm. But no. Like Sound of Music was usually a 2-parter.
We grew out of that pretty quick because that was like all we watched for, I don't know, 3. We lived in Africa. Like, I don't know.
It sounds like you had 4
got
movies to
one
watch.
VHS, you know? Well, there was like a weight limit to what we could bring, and so it was like, well, we get to bring 1 VHS.
All right, I'm going to open a beer if we're talking about this.
It's going to be... I don't know why we watched these movies.
Okay, wait.
I love that about
You know what? Okay, I'm just going to say that makes sense. If you have a weight limit of how much you can bring, and you can only bring VHSs, you bring the longest ass VHSs you can possibly bring.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But, I mean, to be honest, this was when we were like 16, so I don't know what's wrong with us.
They were not in Africa at that time.
Not in Africa, we were choosing.
So wait, no one told you about the original director's cut of Das Boot? Because that's like 5 hours long.
I kept trying to convince my sister to watch it, but as far as she got was Zulu. So, Michael Caine.
Michael
Caine.
Yeah. I don't know why we're talking about this.
I don't know.
We're just rambling. I don't know, man.
Let's do some
Other
more
podcasts
shout-outs.
do this, and people like that.
Oh, we were talking about Alec Guinness. To get us back on track. I think
we're Kind Hearts and Coroners.
I think we're done with Alec Guinness.
Okay,
I want to say a lot of people do say that like he disavows like having worked on Star Wars and stuff, and I kind of did a deep dive on that because it's like, does he really? I don't think that he hated it as much as some people talk it up. Like he was just kind of like, it's a little like
he liked being a
sorry-wary.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you there.
Oh no. Just like he didn't think it was very deep, but he thought it would make a bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
It got him another Academy Award nomination.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it did.
So there's well, I kind of just want to shout out everyone else, but I'll be pretty quick about it. So, okay, Anthony Daniels, C-3PO, Kenny Baker, R2-D2, Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca, David Prowse, Darth Vader. These people that all made careers out of being in Star Wars.
Yep.
And I'd love to point out that David Prowse was Glaswegian, and so they had to listen to a thick Scottish accent, coming out of the Glaswegian.
Yes. I put it together. Yeah.
Is that really what it's called?
Audible.
That's what you call
what it's called.
Someone from Glasgow is Glaswegian, but now that I'm saying that, he might actually be Yorkshire. But at any rate, it's a thick UK accent coming out of the Darth Vader outfit, and he was cast for the part because he was the right size. Yeah,
super tall,
big, just like Peter Mayhew. And of course, everyone on set was wondering, is that what he's going to sound like? Is he a North England, South Scotland fellow? But then, of course, James Earl Jones, being
Mufasa,
I mean, that's what James Earl Jones is. He is this booming voice across our childhoods and our parents' lives. Whether it's live action in Hunt for Red October, or
The Sandlot,
Field of Dreams, or The Sandlot, or if it's a voice like Mufasa or Darth Vader,
or the general from the cheesy Command and Conquer cutscenes.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, man. Command and Conquer. What? Was that the first one, or is that Red Alert?
Oh, that's the first one.
Yeah, the third one has not Tim Conway, the guy who always plays cheesy villains.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. Yes.
Wow.
A neat little.
Gosh, we're nerds.
A fellow by the name of Dennis Lawson in episode 4 played Luke's wingman, Wedge Antilles, who is the uncle of Ewan McGregor.
Oh.
Whoa.
Which is why Ewan McGregor saw the first Star Wars movie.
Oh.
All right.
A lovely little piece of trivia.
And also probably why he's in there.
I'll bet it has something to do with it.
Yeah, that's
Well,
awesome.
you said Biggs, right? Biggs?
Wedge.
Oh, it's Wedge. It's Wedge.
Yeah.
I was kind of obsessed with Biggs and Wedge. Like, as a kid, I was like, who are these guys? I want to know their stories. And I always got them kind of confused.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, every time that Biggs dies right away, I get really, like, sad.
Yeah.
I get, like, with all of those deaths, I get really sad.
Did you guys know?
Porky, Porkser, what's his name? Like, Pork?
Porkins?
Yeah, Porkins, there we go. Like, that poor guy, like, they all just blow up. It's very personal.
I was on my 6.
Yeah.
Watching with my kids, I was like, I don't know, this is a little much. But they were fine. They were like, whatever, I don't understand death. Great.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's great. Did you guys know that there was actually... So originally, Biggs had a scene right at the beginning of A New Hope. Luke knows him because he's also from Tatooine, and like there's a scene, probably 3 minutes on, where I don't know. I know they filmed part of it, but essentially it's Biggs telling Luke that he's everyone thinks he's going to the Imperial Academy, but he's decided to join the rebellion. And it's for Luke, it's like, and the last close friend is gone. And I'm stuck here. So it intensified that, but for whatever reason they cut it out of the final.
I actually would have kind of liked to see that, because when we do see him and they greet each other like friends, I'm kind of like, Who's this dude?
Mhm.
What's this guy doing here? Like,
Yeah.
am I supposed to remember him?
He's like, Luke's my friend. Like, get out of here, Biggs. Get out. Like, where's Han Solo?
Also, it's like
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker, my best friend. Biggs.
Why is he called Biggs? Is he really big? No! He's just like
That's just his
a
actual
dude.
name.
Yeah. Well, it does. I do like the fact that since you don't know anything about him, it does lead to what Mike was talking about, being really sad. Like, there was this guy, and you figure out there's this rich history between him and Luke, and then he's dead. And you'll never
But
get
if
that.
I'd seen the rich history, I might have cared.
Mike.
I cared.
I know you did, but I'm just saying, like, if it had been there, it would have been more intense.
See, I cared because I
Yes.
will never get to see it. Unless there is some really shitty spin-off called Biggs. A Star Wars story.
Biggs. You didn't know you wanted this.
We're gonna cram it down your throat! It's Star Wars! By Disney!
I'm just imagining the trailer. It's like, Luke, I'm going to the academy. No!
Wait, John, I'm thinking about that. Like I remember seeing that we had like this extended edition box set of the original Star Wars trilogy, but it was on VHS.
Uh-huh.
So it was like each of the movies had, I don't know, another hour at the end of them.
Mhm.
That was like all these cuts of like different things that they did about making the set and stuff, which was really cool. But I remember seeing these. I remember seeing also this this cut of when they filmed Han Solo when he meets Jabba the Hutt. And it's a person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like there's a part of me that remembers that as the original cut, that Jabba was originally a person.
I think that's all a deleted scene in the theatrical release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I've only ever read
Yes,
about that. I didn't
that's
know they actually
right.
had footage of it.
They did, and they actually so they used it. Yeah, okay, that's right, Jesse. Oh my gosh, this is like bubbling up from like the archives of my brain from like 2002. No, so they had the footage and they had the guy and they took all of that footage and when they re-released them in this box set, they did all this stuff. They added all this stuff. So like when they're driving into Mos Eisley, you know how there's like all like the droids and they hit them and like like all this kind of fun stuff with the creatures. That's all new. That's all new with that re-release after the release of the first of the prequel.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Or the first of the prequel. But then they also took a bunch of archive footage and saw what they could do with it, including that scene with Jabba. And so it went through all like how they did all of the computer generation of like him and like how they I don't know. It was very very fun to remember.
That's
and
awesome.
Also to see
That's
how
awesome.
far we've come in our CGI capabilities.
Yeah.
Because that scene
Looks like crap.
it looks like crap.
Looks like crap.
It looks like they took
Unfortunately.
didn't look very good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So,
Well-
two more oh, go ahead, Jesse. Sorry.
Before we're done with cast and crew, another important person to call out, and we won't spend too much time on him because we've mentioned him before, is John Williams. Who makes...
Wait, who's that?
Oh, yeah.
He is...
Who's John Williams?
Oh, John Williams. Have you not heard of this man?
Together.
Oh, this...
Is it like Ricky Bobby? He's got two first names.
Oh, he has two first names, and he has more than two songs that'll blow you away. Because this dude, he creates Star Wars. Honestly, I can't imagine Star Wars without John Williams. In fact, if you want to see something really funny, type in ending of New Hope without John Williams, and you will understand. You will understand the role that this man has in this movie.
I'm imagining that right now. It's so bad.
It's really awkward. It's just
We're just like smiling, looking around. It's smiling,
smiling. You know, Chewbacca randomly screaming. Like walking down a hallway. It's the most awkward thing you've ever seen. It comes straight out of The Office, basically. But
Wow.
That's some peak cringe.
Mm-hmm. But John Williams makes that an epic moment that I'll remember for all of my life. And this dude is carrying some he's carrying some scenes here in this movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And if he's not carrying them, at least in later movies, he's fighting with them with his music.
Yeah.
No, I think we've only mentioned him. I think John Williams only been on the show one time. I think in our Home Alone episode, almost exactly a year ago.
Wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Jeez. How did we go a year without doing a John Williams movie?
I guess there's a lot of movies out there.
Yeah, there's a few. There's just
I mean, he's only done like 3,000 movies.
and more Oscars than anybody else in history.
At this point, he doesn't even care. He's like, throw it on the pile.
Yeah. We're making a new platinum Oscar.
Yeah.
One stands for 12.
Give us 15 of those. We'll give you one of these. Okay.
Like with bottles, the wine bottles, the Jeroboam, the Balthazar. You got
That's right.
all the different sizes of Oscar.
Just enormous size. he needs a crane.
Yeah.
Who else? Who was the last people you had to mention there, John?
Well, I have to mention Peter Cushing. Not very well known to us here in America, but he was Christopher Lee's best friend.
Oh,
Christopher Lee, the man that James Bond is based on.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Christopher Lee's mom got divorced right after Lee was born and married Ian Fleming's uncle. So, nice little network there. But yeah, Peter Cushing just...
Everything's connected.
Absolutely. Peter Cushing is just one of those guys. He just walks in. He just is exactly who the movie needs him to be. He's terrifying. He's wonderful. And
wait, who's he?
He's actually wearing, in a number of those scenes, when you don't see all the way down to his feet, he's wearing carpet slippers. Because he had unusually large feet, and he had to have all of his costume shoes special made, but they didn't have time. So, like, he was either like dying of pain with the standard issue boots, or close-ups, and he was wearing slippers.
So, and then just for all of everybody, who is Peter Cushing in this movie?
Ah, yes, he is the epic Grand Moff Tarkin.
Moff Tarkin, yeah.
Who
walks in to be epic and die almost immediately.
Yeah.
No.
And he...
It's a real bummer that they
computer generate him later for Rogue One.
It is an abominable decision.
Yes.
It's terrible.
It is a deplorable, moralless decision to do this. I hate it.
There's no purpose for him in that scene, in that movie.
No, just to show how morally bankrupt and ethicless the company is.
Yeah.
And the very last for the casting shout out is John Wayne.
What?
Man, there's John Wayne in the cast list.
Oh, it's not the John Waynes.
As a matter of fact, so do you guys remember Garindon? He's the guy in Mos Eisley with the comlink that tells the stormtroopers that where Luke and Han are Luke and
Oh yeah. Does he say
yes?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
That voice are those sounds are heavily synthesized audio recordings from John Wayne that were in the vault. That is a fact.
Wow.
Imagine being the guy that comes up with that idea.
Ben Burt?
That's Ben Burt. Wally, you mean?
Yes. I got to shout out Ben Burt too. He is, well, when Lucas came up with Star Wars and got started, as he has said himself, no one believed in it except him and the art department. And the key man of that art department was sound designer Ben Burt, who came up with 95% of the sounds that are in those movies. I'm not going to try to remember how he makes the various sounds, but it's him.
It's some like MacGyver story kind of shit. Like some of the stuff he does, he's like, if I just like pour water on live electrical cords, it kind of sounds like a hum.
Yeah,
like why would you do that?
That sounds like a bad idea.
He would carry recording in equipment in his car wherever he went. And actually, the audio commentaries that were released with the special edition DVDs of 4, 5, and 6, he pipes up every once in a while with like, and this is how I made this sound, and this is how I made that sound, and half of the stories are, I'm driving down the road and I hear this thing, and I stop and I pull out a microphone and camera recording equipment, and I say the guy who's doing whatever to make the sound, hey, you mind if I record that? That was just his life for several years.
Wild.
Man, hearing that really creeps me out. Just makes me think of the guy from Upstream Color, and I never want to think of that movie.
Oh, yeah, it does. That's... Why do you remind me of this?
I don't know. It flashed through my head.
Why does Upstream Color come up like 3 times on the show?
I really hope just like there's one person out there who knows what Upstream Color is. Like, yeah!
I'm pretty sure it's Sir. I'm pretty sure that's him. And he's the one that's like, Upstream Color, yeah! In fact, I'm almost sure it is. I'm almost sure. I don't know. I just got to say some more derogatory comments about Malcolm and Marie, and then he'll come out of the woodwork and tell us. Okay, so we've hung around with the cast and the crew. We do have a couple of questions here, but before we get to sort of questions about where this movie is going and all that, I would like to do briefly some quick favorite scenes. And I say briefly because this is a movie that I think both we and our listeners are very, very aware of. We know every moment of this movie pretty well. And I think that we can get through this pretty fast. I'm just going to go and say I think my favorite one is the trash compactor.
It's a great one.
I think it's that because it's a moment that actually feels like it has real tension. There's the double threat of the walls closing. There's the tentacle. There's the eye. There's a lot of like really iconic Star Wars imagery. I had a picture book when I was a kid of Star Wars Episode 4 that had like beautiful like matte paintings of certain scenes from the movie, and I could read along with it. And I just remember there was this one very vivid one of all 3 of them, Princess Leia in her like white garb, and Han and Luke without their helmets off, and Chewie, and they're all trying to like brace the pipe, across the way. And it's an image that's really been kind of indelible to me since then. And watching it, it's actually kind of funny. It almost doesn't fit in the movie because Mark Hamill, for some reason, decides to dial it all the way up, which he never does in the rest of the movie. But he's like screaming into the thing, like, say 3PO! Say 3PO! It's a really tense scene, but it's unique in that way, in that it's tense. The rest of the movie, there isn't that kind of tension. There's the tension of like, there's Luke and Leia and the stormtroopers are shooting at them and they got to swing across the gap. But that's like adventure fun. And this feels in the trash compactor, it feels a lot more dangerous. And I really like that about this movie.
I also like what they do with Luke Skywalker there. They show that he has that craziness to him, which is what Obi-Wan Kenobi's kind of like trying to make not come out of him, right? He's trying to dampen that quite a bit, especially near the end, right? He has to reach out with his feelings or whatever to destroy the Death Star, and he has to be really calm for that to happen. And from that scene, he's not a calm person when it comes to life and death situations.
3PO! He's so stressed out he can't even say the C.
Yeah. Also, I got my favorite line is when after R2 has shut all that down, and they're just screaming in pure joy. And 3P is like, listen to them! They're dying!
Curse my metal body. I wasn't fast enough.
Yeah. It's so funny.
But that was just like, that was one of my favorites just upon this like latest umpteenth rewatch. What jumped out to you, Michael?
It's really hard. It's really hard to pick a favorite scene because all of these scenes, like every single scene that comes up, I'm like, oh yeah, that's my favorite scene. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is my favorite scene. Every single scene, I'm like, oh no, it wasn't that one.
Is your favorite scene the movie?
Yeah,
Nice.
favorite scene is the movie.
Nice.
I don't know. I guess I'll say, I don't know. Shit.
I could go while you're
like, okay, the very opening scene when we see we've got Princess Leia's ship. I don't know what it's called, being hunted down by the Star Destroyer. What was that?
Tontiv 4.
Tontiv 4.
Yep.
Good for you. I knew that at one point. Not for a long time.
I forgot I knew
That's a name I've not heard for a long time. That's also my favorite scene. Like I love... like when Luke and Obi-Wan are together. I think that those are probably my 2 favorite. Like the when we start off, in the middle of things, and there's this small ship being chased down by this Imperial Star Destroyer, and it's just, we start off, we drop down from the words and we see like this round thing, and we realize, oh, that's a planet, that's the Earth, I guess, because we've seen the Earth from outer space at this point. And then we see this spaceship coming, and you're like, what is that? Like, that's a man-made thing in outer space. And then the Star Destroyer comes, like, swoops over and it just blocks off your
encompasses
whole
like the whole, everything you can see, and it like keeps going.
And it keeps going for so long. I've never seen anything like this as a kid, and now I've seen it more, but still every time it gets me. And just the whole opening scene just gives you a sense of the scope of the world, and like how you're just entering this story that's been going on for ages here. You're entering into into this journey. I love it. I think it's epic. I think it's one of the most valuable things that this movie has given to us.
Yeah.
And I also think it's amazing how they did this. Like, these are models. These are like, they made all of this stuff. Like, this whole movie, they made all of these things. It's so
like,
cool.
They're like, Billy, move the fishing rod slower.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I'll move the model slower. Like,
yeah. And they had to like cut and paste stuff. So I was listening to a little bit of like the commentary, and they're saying, so the actual models, like the model of the Star Destroyer is actually smaller than the model of whatever this
the blockade runner.
Yeah, sure.
I just point at John every time. Yeah, it's like John knows it.
And or like they're not that dissimilar in size, so they have to do a lot of visual like playing with it. And then there's a point where it gets like sucked up into the tractor beam, and like they had to do this superimposing of like the actual film that they're using, and like this is a cut and paste job. Like they didn't have computers to do this for them. This is just something amazing that, like you watch this movie as a kid, you think it's amazing and like all this grand stuff, and then as you grow up and get a little bit older, you're like, wow, they actually did this. This is something you can build with your hands.
Yeah,
that's very, very cool, and
I
don't know, adds to the richness of it.
Honestly, the models now look far better than the CGI.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The CGI stands out because the models don't.
Yeah.
The models you accept. Like, there's something about it that you just buy.
Yeah.
And the CGI, you go, fake. That shit's fake. And actually, Jesse, a big part of why some of the models and some of the sculptures look so good in this is that there's some work from a sculptor here named Liz Moore.
Whoa!
Really?
Yes,
What?
there is.
No way.
Yes, there is.
Are you the time traveler's husband?
Yeah, that's me. You got me, guys.
Found me out.
Time traveling from the 70s.
That might
It's so
explain a
much
thing or
worse
two.
now.
Yeah, I just want to see how bad it gets.
Die early.
No.
Let me tell you,
Live
it
long
gets worse
and
5
prosper.
years from now.
Oh, 5 years from now.
That's the
Thank
wrong
Five
movie,
years.
John. Come on. Long and what do you even see Star Wars?
He's really
Exactly.
trekking into the unknown right there.
Wait, okay. So that's giving that as my favorite scene.
It's a great scene.
John, what about you? What's your favorite scene? Gotta pick one.
Okay.
Pick one.
I'll take a different tack than just one that I like. Because every one of these scenes has been looked at and examined by many times. I'll bring up a scene that I've recently found more in. It's the scene where Luke, he's just met Obi-Wan and they're in Obi-Wan's home. And he's, they're just talking, and Obi-Wan is sort of like giving him little tidbits, bits of information enough that he can sort of process, and because he's thinking about Luke's trying to understand all this giant world I'm trying to tell him about. But then Luke just asks him point blank, how did my father die? And it's just a brief little interaction of, a young Jedi named Darth Vader, etc., etc. But somebody put a video up on YouTube. It's just called Obi-Wan Has PTSD. And they played that film, that scene, that part of that scene, and in each of those pauses between the lines, they intercut scenes from episodes 1, 2, and 3 of the things he's been through, watching his master Qui-Gon be killed in front of his eyes, fighting in a war, and all of that, and then all of the grief and devastation of seeing everything he's fought to defend gone. His best friend completely has betrayed him.
Anakin, you are the chosen one! Yeah.
Well, if you want to be trite about it. No. But just, I want to bring up that scene because it's a scene that, by itself, it's just a simple exposition scene. It's well acted. Alec Guinness sells it very well. Mark Hamill doesn't have much to do, but he's playing his part. But it plays such it's such a heavy and weighty scene. Even if 1, 2, and 3 never got made, you could still extrapolate these sorts of details from it. It's just, to actually see it, that might actually bring tears to your eyes. But yeah, if I had to pick one scene out of the entire saga, it would be like the impact, the power, maybe not like, oh, this is the fun one, but like what is the the scene in episode 6 where Luke takes Vader's mask off and all the stuff that Luke doesn't even know about, but it's just you, Luke, helped your father do the thing that he couldn't do himself. I mean, you want to talk about a movie for a dad movie? It's a movie about a father, a man who fails at something that he has to do, but because of his son's staunchness, sincerity, and courage, he succeeds. So when you ask favorite scene, that's how I'm going to answer it.
I think very well answered.
That's beautiful. Watching it, I haven't seen this movie in several years. I was really struck, or I'm really struck by it watching it with my kids. With that aspect, as I said before, my dad died when I was young, I was struck by, I don't know, seeing a lot of, I don't know, like the way, like I know how I felt about, like, tell me about what my father was like. Tell me how he died. Like, tell me, I knew how he died, but, tell me about this, from everyone that I could find. I felt that a lot. Like, I saw that with Luke more than I ever have before. I don't know why, like, retrospectively, but also thinking about it in relationship to my kids, because in a certain way, like, that's going to be how they are, no matter what. I think we're all that way with our fathers. Like, tell me about who they were, and then, I think that there's a certain amount of having gone through the path of this, having to kill your father and become a better man, right? That's the psychological parlay, right? Like, not like you actually have to kill your dad, but you have to overcome their problems to become better and to help them become better as well. Yeah. To save them. That's going to happen to us now, right? Like, we're turning into Darth Vader for, like, the psychological dribble.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I was really struck by that this time around a lot. And it was really impactful. I'm really glad you brought that scene up.
Thank you. It just, it gets into the whole, as you get older and you have to face the problems of life, and if you're honest about yourself and introspective, you find that you have the potential for not good things, and you have to acknowledge that it exists rather than trying to hide from it and pretend you're perfect. You're like, and I'm not a dad yet myself, but I'll bet there's nothing like kids to force that kind of self-examination.
Yeah, it gets at least for myself, it can be humiliating.
Yeah,
it's not fun.
I prefer humbling.
Yeah, it gets.
I try to be humbled more than humiliated. I don't know how well I'm doing. Ask my wife.
I tried to just make podcasts out of all this exploration.
Look, we're almost 2 hours deep into a
Yeah,
Star Wars
oh my
podcast,
gosh.
so this kind of stuff happens. So if people are still listening, they deserve the emotion.
Ooh,
They deserve it.
Hoorah.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Jesse,
Sure.
what's your favorite scene?
Man, I know we're 2 hours in, but I gotta go.
Go for
I
it.
gotta go to a certain place that we haven't talked about yet. So back when I first watched this movie, one of the most impactful scenes is a whole cantina scene.
Yeah.
Because it's dun, 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 dun. Yeah, you realize things are like fun, and then there's these flashes of different aliens coming at you, one after the other, and you're like, "Oh, everything's different here," and and then Sir Alec Guinness takes a creature's arm off, like out of nowhere, and then you're like, well, maybe this old dude isn't as frail as what you thought. You just saw him mind manipulate a stormtrooper, but you weren't quite sure what he was capable of. Now you're like, okay, this guy could clearly take on an army if he wanted to, at least in my young mind. And then most importantly, though, in this cantina scene, you meet Han Solo. And he's out there for the money, and he makes it very upfront at first. He just wants to be paid. He wants to be paid up front, and then immediately goes into a conflict with Greedo. I think his name's Greedo, right? Yeah, Greedo. And then there's, this famous scene. And I swear when I watched this movie, Han shot first.
He
Yes.
absolutely did.
Now, I swear.
Shoots first!
Now,
He absolutely did.
You know what's weird? I don't think I saw that version. I think I saw the other version. But in my kid's brain, all I knew and what impacted me was that Han Solo, this guy, who later goes on to be a hero, like, killed this guy. And because of that, as a kid, I'm like, I don't know what to think of you. You're a murderer.
I don't know. Is it?
Disney's done a lot of retconning, and now I don't think in the current version that's available on Disney Plus, I don't think that Han is shown to shoot first. I think there's a millisecond difference between when Greedo fires and when he does.
Yeah.
And that is intentionally manipulated from the original because of exactly what you're saying, Jesse. But the original, the untouched one, which also features Greedo's arm cut off with blood, right? Because they hadn't figured out that the laser cauterizes the wound yet.
Oh, yeah.
But Lucas went back in and he changed film history, and now Han does not shoot first. He shoots just after. It's like that.
Right.
But it's
which is
I have a
unnecessary.
Blu-ray version, and
The Blu-ray version is the one that's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and it's the same. I don't know, like, you got to find a VHS copy.
A VHS copy.
Which are degrading quickly.
The DVD copies, I think it's a DVD copy that's the worst offender. It's like he contorts his body really quickly. Well, Han Solo does. Like, what happens is Greedo fires and fires accurately. And somehow, Han Solo moves so quick, it's like a snake, like, out of the way. It looks incredibly fake. It's the worst animation I've ever seen if you actually look for it. Which I actually did. I paused. I was like, okay, I gotta go through this frame by frame. Wow, this is terrible. Then I fast forward, and then I kept going. But yeah, it's terrible. But I did want to ask all you guys, when you first encountered this, do you remember what you thought about Han Solo and this meeting, and what version you saw?
I do. I saw the VHS version. It was off. Dad recorded off a television, but he would have recorded it in 1994. And basically, Greedo's standing there saying, "Hey, I'm going to turn you in for a lot of money." And it seemed pretty clear that, okay, Greedo's about to kill him. And Han's like, "Nah, I'm not going to do that." And he just blows him away.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm open to discussion, of course, but I've never seen anything morally reprehensible about Han's action. The guy is clearly telling him, "You're dead, and you're going to make me a lot of money being dead." And Han just is a decisive individual and takes care of it.
I wholeheartedly agree. I was always like, yes, he did the right thing. I mean, I thought that, hey, this is a guy you got to be careful of. He clearly is not putting himself in the right situations to be a good person. A truly good person, but this guy's gonna kill him. You know it. Like, why wouldn't Greedo kill him?
It's doggy dog out there.
Yeah, it's doggy.
Yeah.
It's a doggy dog world.
I always thought Han was cool. And I also saw the same version that John probably did because their parents probably were watching the same channels. Because there's only 13 of them back then. But I never had problems with Han in that way. But I did have issues with him in that I was a Luke Skywalker kid. For forever. Mm-hmm. I was a Luke head.
Dude, same here.
Yeah, Luke head. And so when he's like there with Leia, I was like, piss up a rope, dude. Get out of here. The hero's gotta be with the girl. Come on.
Yeah.
And then I saw episode 6 and I was like, oh, nope, that's not cool. Yeah. Nope, never mind. Nope, Han, I'll pick her up, all right?
I'm sorry I ever wanted that.
Oh, Vito, you're gonna love this. When John Williams was accepting his American Film Institute Lifetime Achievement Award. You can tell I researched by watching all of these shows.
Yeah, you really like the AFI.
They give us their best stuff in those. But John Williams goes up there to accept the award. And, oh shucks, I might get it. Okay, I'm not sure if it was Williams recognizing Lucas or if it was Williams accepting his award and Lucas had talked earlier. Anyway, Williams brought up Star Wars, and he said, he turned to Lucas and he said, thank you for giving me the opportunity to write this, and I didn't know where I knew there were going to be more films, and so I wrote some things, before we made the second movie, and he said, yeah, I'd actually written a love scene with a build-up and a development section and a very torrid climax because he says, I thought Luke and Leia were lovers. So I don't
maybe
think,
write an incest theme.
I don't think that piece of music has ever been released.
Yeah,
Published.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable.
Oh man.
Awesome.
Okay, so I guess, Jesse, in answer to your question, I don't think any of us had a problem.
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm sorry to hear you had a problem with our boy Han.
I guess you're definitely more conscious and better person than us.
I mean,
well, we know that
was just my little kid impression. My little kid impression was, oh, he's with the good guys. He has to be one of the upstanding good guys, and then to find out he's just kind of like one of the rest of these seedy Cantina people.
It's kind of a scumbag.
I mean,
That's
it's taught
very
me
well put,
whenever a bounty hunter comes for me, I shoot them on sight. I don't even talk to them. Like, just boom. Oh, you're a bounty hunter. You're coming for me. You're dead.
Yeah,
and this has been reinforced by playing Red Dead Redemption. When the bounty hunters come, you're like, you're dead, boyo.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, this actually makes me like Han more because then I get to see, like, you see the arc. You see him like go from the seedy Cantina guy to the epic hero on par with Luke, basically.
Yeah, to being a really sucky dad and not taking care of his kid, who turns into the new Darth Vader. Yeah.
I hate that, man. It just makes me... This is...
Yeah.
Star Wars is 1 through 6.
Come on, man.
That's one story.
You just really bum me out, dude.
The rest is fan
I'm
fiction.
really bummed now.
We're gonna have to save this for when we do the new trilogy, because we will do them eventually, individually. Every single one.
When we do Rise of Skywalker, it's just going to be like a minute-long fart noise. I just release that as a main episode, Rise of Skywalker, and then it's just...
If I had it my way, I would do that with Last Jedi as well. But I don't think that's going to happen.
You'll never have you right. Boo! Shut up.
With a brief asterisk of
Overruled.
Ian McDiarmid is really good as Palpatine, and then back to the flatulence.
But also, what are you doing here? Go away!
Yeah.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
Leave, Palpy. Well, now that we've talked about our nostalgia, we've ridden that pretty hard in this episode, and we're happy to have done so, because this movie has meant a lot to us, and this poor old horse of Star Wars just keeps on trucking. No matter how many times we watch it, it keeps on delivering. And we've also talked about kind of what this means as a dad movie, and what it means to all of us, what's inside of it. And I guess a fun question, I think, is trying to envision what the world would be like if in 1977 Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope had not been released. Like, what does the world even look like? Do we have stuff like Marvel? Does Star Trek get reinvigorated again and continue to pump out season after season? Do we get Battlestar Galactica? Like, would we have ever seen Dune on the big screen? And would it have become the best-selling sci-fi novel of all time? Like, all these big questions about how, nerd culture became the monoculture, became corporatized and bought by Disney. Like, does any of this happen if Star Wars does not come out?
Well, I think the first thing to be said is that Star Wars' huge impact is in part a consequence of there being a sort of cultural vacuum that kind of, I don't know, for me, like movies like Bullitt and Dirty Harry sort of symbolize it, where they're interesting, but there's not much music. They're just kind of there, and they're dinking around. I don't. It's they don't have deep depth. It's. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, movies don't know where they're going. You had the Golden Age, then television came up, and so films decided, okay, well, let's just be big, over the top, and massive. And that had worked for a while, but it was the 70s. And it had just sort of gotten old and tired, and something needed to come to fill the gap. The Godfather had shown up, 5 years earlier? 60, okay. So maybe that the fire of that one is sort of petering out as well. So, like, the stage was set for a kind of void of action and creativity. I mean, without Lucas, you've still got Spielberg, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So you've probably got, you definitely have Jaws. You probably have E.T. So at the very least,
in the early 80s. But I mean, E.T. kind of feels like a reaction, almost.
Yeah, could be.
Well, John, I think I deeply agree with you, and then deeply disagree with you on this. Oh, cool. Like, I definitely see a void. I think you're right. A void is there. Although I don't think it's a void of creativity lost in movies. I really like movies from this era. I think that's all there. I do think that there is I think there's a void in something larger. I think there's a void in a mythical landscape to work in. Because, like, in every, like, culture, like, there's always a big, epic myth to, like, build your stories in, whether you're talking about Greek and Roman gods, or Egyptian or Norse gods, or you're talking about crazy fairy tales, or you have these weird things that the Brothers Grimm have, where they seem to have their own weird world they're working in. I don't know how that place works.
Rule Britannia, Nelson, he's a legend.
And you've got J.R.R. Tolkien, who comes out with his big thing, and then Frank.
Don't forget Johnny Appleseed, Jesse.
And don't forget Johnny
America's got Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah.
Paul Bunyan, man, he's got a blue ox.
Yeah, I mean,
it's big.
Like, we do have these things, and they're important. You need these settings for tales that you can tell and retell and tell in slightly different ways, and the Western. I think the Western also functions as a myth as well. It's this mythological sandbox for you to just pit good and evil against. I don't think we have that. I think we've kind of lost that by the time Star Wars comes around. We have that in books, but not in cinema, not in film. And so I think George Lucas gives us a mythological landscape by which we can build in and tinker in, and I think that landscape starts influencing Marvel and DC afterwards, and then all of sci-fi. I think you can't even say the word sci-fi without first thinking of Star Wars and then branching off to other things. That's the hole that I think Star Wars is really filling and really is really rich with, because its rules are so simple. It's like there's a planet and it's got one thing going for it. And maybe like a few aliens going for it. And then there's like this, and it's this weird blend of the divine, right? The Force is kind of like this divine, like, destiny that you can't escape, and it's magic. It's fundamentally magic. And then it's mixed with sci-fi and these, like, what if scenarios. What if man has these these spaceships, what will it do? Well, it'll establish a giant empire. And then, what else will man do? Well, we're going to rebel against that. Because, of course, we will. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think Star Wars today is the big myth that we all have, and it's how it functions, and its beautiful simplicity is being applied in giant franchise ways to almost everything now.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well said.
I think that's totally true. I mean, like the idea of Star Wars as kind of the myth. I think even just those opening lines a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, like that is mythological sort of writing. Right?
It's important that it's far away, and it's important that it was long ago.
Yeah,
because like when you set stuff in the future, people can be like, "Oh, that's silly." Like you can say it's silly when it's not happened yet.
Yeah,
but when it's already like, it's almost like, yeah, dude, like I was just like I found this history, and I made the movie. Yeah. So you have to buy it, and you're like, yeah, I guess I do buy it. Like I guess so. It's old, right?
It's old.
Yeah,
well, yeah, and that's like kind of the essence of a myth is that like this is a story that has been passed down and told year after year, like generation after generation. Whereas like future movies, future sci-fi stuff, like you gotta make it dystopian.
Yeah,
like it can't be about good things.
The world could not get better.
Yeah.
Either that or it's Halo, and like things are pretty good, but there's a giant alien alliance that's trying to destroy us all.
Yeah,
damn alliances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then I mean, like I think it takes a lot of the I don't know, mythological tropes or whatever, like having the chosen one who comes and he's going to free the galaxy from the Empire, the evil Empire,
and he's got the special sword.
There's like the magic sword, and and like he's got to tap into the magical underlines of the world and reawaken sort of that magic in the world that has gone out of it. Like, oh gosh, that's just like that tugs on your heartstrings. Like, yes, I want to believe in this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's amazing? Watching this with my kids. They haven't seen the movie before, but we're like I'm kind of building up to them. Like, yeah, and so like there's the Empire and like the rebels, and my oldest is like, oh, I hate empires. Like empires. Like, she didn't know what the empires are, but I remember feeling that too. Like, oh, the evil empire. Let's take them down.
Spoken like an American.
Yeah.
I think a lot of something that I alluded to earlier in the episode too that I think is relevant here is the idea that you would begin your space opera told in 6 parts in the middle. You would begin it after, in fact, your supposed main character has fallen, and not let everyone know that the main character has fallen already, and then have the big reveal not be till the next movie. Like, it's just really ballsy that you would put it there. You wouldn't just say, no, we got to start with him as a baby. No. See, his journey is almost completed. We're going to start with somebody else looking at him. And that's really weird and really cool. And I don't think the likes of that, just how brave you would have to be to do that, to risk it all on basically the second act of your grand story. It's really cool.
So, okay, I know that Lucas has said, like, he had this whole thing planned out, right?
I mean, it does say in the opening credits, episode 4.
That was added.
Yeah.
No.
Released as Star Wars.
It was written on the original script. The studio didn't let him put 4 on the when it was released in 1977, but it was always meant to be episode 4.
Huh.
Pardon the harsh beatdown, but that had
no, that's great.
Down. I love it.
I knew I had history on my side. It is a brave thing.
Yeah. I believe you guys.
It's a brave thing.
Just like watching this, though, it's like this is a fully self-contained story. It does not need anything else. I mean, I guess
because the studio made him do it just in case it failed. It could just be the one movie.
So he really have the whole like?
I believe him.
Okay. All right.
Look, this isn't that crazy to believe. Brandon Sanderson shits out 3 of these a year. This is not hard to do if you're of the mindset to do this sort of thing.
I suppose it's true.
I mean, it's essentially, when you look at it, it's a fairly although it may be complex in some of its themes and how it draws some of them out, the actual story itself is incredibly simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And deals with like huge tropes that are actually can't even be called tropes. They're not even cliches. They're just archetypes.
Yeah.
You just fill in the archetypes and name them, right? And then basically this movie is just hero's journey. If you want to know how to write a 3-act structure, sort of new world story, you look at Star Wars Episode 4. This is how you do it. Hero goes out, learns about himself, about the world, how he's the chosen one. It's messianic. It's ingrained in the nature of newer age people. Yeah. And then Anakin's story is just like Luke's, except that he chooses the dark side and Luke chooses the light, and then in the end he gets redeemed. It's fine.
Yeah.
If you wanted to yada yada, you could explain Star Wars in like 30 seconds. You really could. Like it's not difficult.
And there's a whole lot of politics in those first 3, though. In those prequels that I feel like we're not even touching on.
No, we're not touching on the regulations for trade across the galaxy.
But they all make perfect sense.
They do, but you're like, congratulations. Yes, you wrote tax code.
I kind of love that shit.
I know you do.
Me too.
Yeah!
But I think when I say it hasn't been done since, it's because now once he did that, he gets his blank check to do his movies, right? He tells the Luke Skywalker story and then waits for technology and everything to catch up to do his prequel story, having his whole opera done, right? And then other people, though, now taking the lesson from Lucas, don't learn that you can bet it all in the middle, and they just go like, "No, we're going to start in the beginning. Here we go."
And they also
it's kind of like a slog.
Yeah, and they don't get what Lucas did, which is, I'm going to tell a story. Like, what's good about stories? He just sort of like studied what stories are and how they are, and made them, and then told one about as American as possible. And he somehow made it both science fiction and fantasy. But it's drawn on, decades, if not centuries, of culture, experience, ideas, and feelings. And, Episode 7 was like, how can we make Episode 4 without being obvious that we're remaking Episode 4? And
make it partially Episode 6 as well. That's how you do it.
Yeah, etc. So
yeah. Jesse, you look like you had a concern on your face. I saw a thought.
Oh, I can't remember what it was. I don't know. It was something.
You were doing this?
I was doing this. I was thinking. I was thinking of the things that y'all were saying. I can't remember what I was going to say. It was good though. It was good. Trust me.
I believe you.
You were making that face right when I said Lucas waited for technology to catch up to the prequels.
Nope, still doesn't come back. I don't know.
I tried.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, I guess looking at it, Star Wars is something I do now. I'd like to say that it's something I do have a kind of a complicated relationship with, because it is responsible for so much of the things that I hate about movie-going culture now, about movies in general, about TV shows. I think that it is very much due to Star Wars and Disney's acquiring of it, and also acquiring of all intellectual property, and then sort of like turning up the speakers so loud you can't hear anything else, because everywhere you turn there's either a Marvel stuffed at you or a Star Wars stuffed at you, or even like just anything, and so in the next so loud.
In the next 10 years, everyone will tune out, and either they'll find something new that actually has some substance to it, or they'll just go out of business.
Yeah.
See, I would like to believe that, but I don't think that's true.
Well, they're going to run it as a business, but at least Star Wars will quit being viable as a business asset.
The people aren't sick of it yet. How could people not be sick of it yet? There's like 5 shows about Star Wars right now. And like some of them are animated, some of them are live action. But there's like shows. They got the Patty Jenkins has been in the news recently because she's doing her Rogue Squadron movie. Like, is this ever going to end? And
well, if they keep losing money like they have with the Eternals and Black Widow, then it's going to end. Eventually, the accountants will string the executives up by a rope and tell them, "We're broke. Make a good movie."
I do want to believe that, but this year we are seeing a new Home Alone movie. Okay, it's on Disney Plus like right now. Actually, like, it's so upsetting. But it's starring the really cute kid from Jojo Rabbit, not the main kid, his friend.
Oh, That's
Vito,
sad.
all of 10,000 remakes of Home Alone matter less than one dreamer with one real story to tell. Maybe that's Dune. Maybe not. Maybe something entirely different.
Yeah.
But Lucas proved in 1977 that you could remake an industry with one project.
I mean,
It's true.
yeah. And also, it's because of Star Wars that you would have anything that's like a series, I think. Basically coming after big epic series, including Lord of the Rings, which is one of my favorite series. You would be missing out on that if you don't have Star Wars. You'd be missing out on, I guess you'd be missing out on Game of Thrones, which, yeah, I guess, yeah.
But we'd be missing out on Wheel of Time. Mike's new
Yeah.
favorite
we
show.
would.
I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah,
We'll see. We'll see. It's coming out in like, I don't know, like next weekend or something.
yeah, soon.
Yeah.
And also,
Well, it will have come out by the time this airs. So.
I
Yeah.
will not be watching that until you send me a very positive review.
okay.
Yeah,
We are all waiting on you.
I'm toning down my expectations.
You have been on this hype train
Yeah.
for months, and now
toning
you're
them
backing
down.
out now.
I'm toning them
Yeah.
down.
Nope.
This is for me. I'm doing this for me, not for anybody else.
Not a lot. That's not what you said. That's not what you
I'm
said.
excited, but I'm also like I want to be ready to be very.
You were
know.
telling me that we are converting the Not Your Father's Instagram and Twitter pages to
Not
fan
your Wheel
pages.
of Time. Not your father's Wheel of Time.
I mean, that would be great. You know, I'm down. I'm down for a Wheel of Time. We watched a preview for that right before we watched Barb and Star go visit Del Mar.
Ooh, yeah.
Right before that, and then it played, and my wife was like, "I really want to see that." I was like, "Oh, cool! It's a whole series." She's like, "Oh, I thought it was just one movie." I'm like, no.
You're vaguely interested? I have 27 books.
Yeah,
There's not that many of them. There's
how
only
many is
like
there?
14, and they're very long.
but they were
kind of-
finished off by Brandon Sanderson, who has so many good series, and I would probably not be reading any of them if Star Wars had never come out, because he also strongly has a hero archetype in his, or at least an archetype that he plays with.
Yeah.
And he also is very much influenced by, it seems like, by Lord of the Rings style fantasy, which comes out years prior to him releasing a book. And then also, like, to your point about them constantly releasing more movies and more Star Wars movies in particular, like, but that's the curse of the myth, right? Anytime you have a giant myth come out, whether Greek or Norse or whatever, there's 1,000 different renditions of it done for all time. And some of them end up being really good. And a lot of them, I'm sure, are very shit.
I do want to say, though, I think that our current culture and way of making entertainment is much different than it has ever been. And thus, I find the glut of content that's available very overwhelming in a way that I do think is not. There's no equivalent in human history.
Yeah, I think you're right.
What we have.
Because, like, back in the day, it used to be, like, some drunk bard singing about, like, I don't know, Thor or Ares or something. And it's like, maybe I wouldn't even really... that's probably not even quality stuff.
Right. And even the quality stuff, Shakespeare, like, he would go and sit in a pub. Apparently, he did most of his best writing in the middle of a loud pub in the evening.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
That might have been a little bit of a non sequitur. Sorry if it was.
Now I know how to spend my days.
The Winchester?
Winchester. Until this all blows over.
That's just like it's fascinating. Like, why is it this way now? Is it because they're measuring the success of shows and movies on numbers of people watch, not necessarily like tying it to real dollars in any way? Because money is like, what even is it anymore?
Oh, money's just like this. It's a fugazi. It's a fugazi.
Like, do we have enough money to make another Star Wars movie? Like, yeah,
What was that,
we
Mike?
have enough money. Of course we have enough money to make, another Star Wars movie, because everyone's going to watch it. Because all we have to do is put it out on the streaming service that everyone's paying $4.99 a month for, and they're going to watch it. They're going to turn it on because they're bored as shit and they've got nothing else to do.
Yep.
Like, there's just content. It's all just about making content and seeing how many eyes go over it. And then it's not even like... It's like this black box of numbers. I'm just going into this whole...
but no, like, I feel so much of that frustration, too. I even hate the fact that we so easily moved into calling it content.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even feel worth the time or the energy needed to say the word art.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even worth that. And we
No,
know
it's
that implicitly by just saying content. We're like, yeah, I saw some content. Like,
Yeah.
what bragging about content?
And then you see Dune, and you're like, wait, that's art. Why would I waste my time with this 100,000 hours on Netflix and Apple Plus and Disney Plus and Peacock and Hulu, etc.?
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't watch that stuff. Watch the good stuff.
I saw some good content. It was called Dune.
Have you guys seen?
My life's got good content. I had good breakfast.
I like it.
What'd you say, Mike?
Have you guys seen the Star Wars animated series that they put out? Have you guys watched that?
I tried, and the writing, it's for kids.
Yeah.
And look,
it's for dumb kids.
And I love that you said that, because I know a lot of people who are good friends of mine that really love that, and they defend it. They say it has like beautiful arcs. It's like some of the best Star Wars has to offer. But I think it's ugly. It's not nice to look at, and I think the dialogue is very poor, and the shows are just too long. You can't make me watch like 30 or 40 hours of this. Like, all of Star Wars put together is not 30 or 40 hours of this. I can't do this. And this is not even about those characters.
It's not that deep. There's not.
It's probably more about we were on lockdown, and now we have to keep the kids busy while we do work. So
wait, no, I mean like the not like the
Rebels and the Bad Batch.
No, not those ones.
Visions.
They put out like no, maybe
you mean like the old Clone Wars?
No, not the Clone
No,
Wars.
yeah, it's the anime one.
There's like
anime?
this anime series, and it's
that's
like
Clone Wars.
No. Star
Clone Wars.
Wars Visions. It's like it's its own like separated every episode. It's like a new person with a new story, new characters coming on. Yeah.
Only kind of like vaguely connected.
Yeah, it's called Star Wars Visions.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all.
And it's like this anime series of
No, and when I say anime, I don't mean like anime like Clone Wars. I mean full on anime. Star Wars.
Yeah, he means full on anime.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's anime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pass.
I have not watched this.
I've heard it's really good. I have not seen it though. Yeah.
This screams content to me. This first episode here is 15 minutes.
You know, I didn't. Well, I haven't watched it because I also didn't like Marvel's What If. I watched 2 episodes of that and said, I don't really want to watch anything else.
I enjoyed the first 2 episodes, but I did not watch further. That's okay. I keep stuff like that. That's what I call my editing shows. So when I edit the episodes, that's the thing I turn on.
Yeah.
And I had to stop watching, for instance, Loki, because I was so bored by Loki, and also very annoyed at the episode I was editing. I was like, none of this is fun. And at least like Marvel What If, I could look at the screen and there was like colors. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, like something's happening. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, Loki was really.
Yeah.
I guess what the reason why I brought it up is like I haven't watched it either. I guess I want to. But the idea behind it is that it's kind of taking Star Wars images or imagery, and like these aren't connected to anything in the Star Wars like universe that we have. It's not connected to like the juggernaut that is Star Wars. It's just kind of taking the IP and like using it.
This sounds kind of like John's 80 novels.
Yeah, it is. I think it is kind of like that.
I would disagree. At least Universal.
Can I explain what I mean by that?
Yes,
the idea is like there was so much kind of like, you know, canon, non-canon, whatever. People put out so much stuff about Star Wars, about the Star Wars universe, and some of it was, you know, whatever it is. It was kind of like Jesse said, a creative sandbox. Like this Star Wars universe was a creative sandbox that people took, you know, went to great lengths with, and like so many things in our culture that are even touchstones today, I think are built out of it. It kind of seems like they're looking at the fact that people used to do that, and now they own the IP. And they're like, well, maybe there was something about that people liked. So what if we try to do this? It makes me, I guess I'm trying to dredge up some sort of like hope.
Well,
so,
I mean,
sue me. I want to hope.
Go ahead. I mean, it's
yeah.
The they seem comparable in this that like there's lots of them. The books, I mean, but some are good, some are bad, some are terrible, some are boring, some are wonderful. Let's see. Out of the novels, I mean, there's 200 something novels. Out of the ones I read, like Timothy Zahn wrote 6 novels. They were all very good.
I read a Thrawn one.
Heir to the Empire?
No, I think it was just called Thrawn.
Okay. Then that was the... So Disney said, oh, by the way, we're going to wipe out the whole history. So those 200 plus novels are now not canon. So Timothy Zahn just started rewriting his books. But anyway, but yeah, you've got like Timothy Zahn writes these 6 wonderful stories that in a lot of ways could be like further episodes. But then you've got the Bounty Hunter trilogy, which is like half a story's worth in 3 books, and you're just reading and reading and reading, and it's dull as all get out. Actually, I'm just talking about books now because I want to. I've lost the thread of what we were talking about.
I will say that we're talking about Star Wars Visions and talking about whether or not there's any hope. And I don't know. I haven't seen them. I think I'll take a look at them. And one of the things that gives me hope is I'm not recognizing a whole lot of people who are involved in these stories. So that tells me that at least they're, I don't know, like. I would be more worried if these were a bunch of really big names. That would feel like it's more of a sellout. But if it's a bunch of creators who are given the chance in this weird series called Star Wars Visions, where they get to tell their Star Wars story, I'll watch that. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, probably it has a chance.
Yeah,
as long as Paul Bettany is not credited in any of these, as Vision.
Well, I feel like very good, very very good. I feel like Disney's like fighting with itself, being this corporate juggernaut, but also like they hire indie filmmakers like Chloe Zhao to make movies, and
like the Eternals.
They don't restrict, like the Eternals, which I haven't seen yet. But then they're like, oh well, with this corporate culture, we're here to make money, and I don't know. I feel like they're fighting with themselves because they want to I hate the words I'm going to use here, like a platform for people to get their voices out there using some really awesome like IP, which is like. All of those words make me depressed.
Because
but if they could actually do that, like that would be awesome.
Well, if they could create something with substance, it would be an accident.
Yeah.
Because they're not looking for substance; they're looking for money makers. But if something of substance does happen, it will be because of values. It'll values that somebody actually holds and supports. That are worth something. For instance, artistic integrity. What do you want to say, Jesse? Sorry.
Oh, I guess I just said that I don't recognize anybody from the cast in Star Wars Visions, but when I Google it, I suddenly recognize some people from the cast. So I don't know which way. I don't know who's in this show. I can't tell. But either IMDb and Google are telling me it's 2 separate. Amazon and Google, get your shit together, man. Is all I'm going to say. That's what I want to say.
Yeah. It may well be that Star Wars has a lot more life, a lot more beautiful things to give us, but it might be that its time is done and someone has to come up with a new story.
If that is Wheel of Time or if that is Dune, then that would be great.
Fantastic.
And if it's something that we don't even know about yet, then I'm even more excited.
I have a feeling that's going to be it. Yeah.
I guess we will. Well, let's. Wait, I got caught in a quantum conundrum because we have already released Dune. I'm going to refer back to my thoughts later in the future. But thank you, John, so much for coming on and talking about
my pleasure.
Star Wars Episode 4.
This has been way too much fun. Thank you so much for inviting me on, and it's great to see you all again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great to see you, man. Thank you for coming. It's been fantastic.
And for everyone out there, hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. Please email us at
this 3-hour episode. Yeah.
Oh, it won't even be that close. Oh, it might be. No, it won't. Find all of our socials and go to our website, nyfmovies.com. Please reach out to us. Let us know what you think. I know we've all dropped some spicy takes on some Star Wars this evening. So let us know. Let us know how that makes you feel. You hate us? Well, I don't know. Let
Please
us know.
tell us if you love us. Also, like we just
No, just hate. But for all of us at Not Your Father's Movies, I'm Vito.
I'm Mike.
I'm Jesse.
And I'm John.
Good night.